matches you were going to get off that wheel.
Oh, awesome.
Something I was like hoping to see just out of like sheer hilarity of it.
All right, it looks like the red light is on, and we are live here for the Next Level Wrestling Review, talking NXT. We are on the road to Halloween Havoc. Last night it was October the 14th, and we are getting ready, hyping up for the big show, and had some big things come up, big stories that continue to formulate as we continue down the road. But today, as you see, once again, my regular co-host Colin Wysong is playing hooky, but that's okay because we are going to the English education system here.
Aye, behave yourself. It's English education system. No,
the man,
Scottish, sir.
Okay, Scottish. Okay, sorry. But it's the man himself, James McIvor. James, how are you doing this afternoon? I guess where you're at, right?
I'm good. I just about left this show after you broke the cardinal sin of calling me English, though. But
I'm sorry. British is what I meant to say. British. For some reason, I always, and it's an American thing. I apologize. There's no excuse. I always sometimes substitute English for when I really mean to say British, and so that's my apologies. And that's why we need more of the British education system, because obviously the American education system has failed us in regards to understanding the difference between British and English. And actually, looks like we have a special guest here as well. Looks like we're going to have actually a 3-man booth this week. Let's see who it is that's in the waiting room here. Oh, Hulkamania.
Huh?
Wait a second.
No.
I recognize that music. It couldn't be, though. We can't afford this. I can't. Maybe Ben Hameen can.
Oh.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Whoa.
What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania runs wild on you, dude? What's going on, brother Ted?
The Hulkster himself. Hulk. Is this Hulk Hogan? Wow.
Oh,
Well, what a treat this is.
Brother. Let me turn this off before we get a strike, dude.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, we don't want to get a strike. Brother, you're looking great. Hulkster, you been working out?
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Hulk Hogan's been to the mountaintop, dude. Hulk Hogan has lifted 5,000-pound giants over his head, brother. So, of course, Hulkamania has been saying his prayers, eating his vitamins, and doing steroids. I mean, no, never mind, brother.
Well, we can't do that. Kayfabe, brother.
Brother. Hey, who's this jabroni over here, brother?
This is our friend from across the pond. This is James McIvor from the Smack Attack.
I remember back in the day, brother, when I was fighting John Jones. He was a jobber, brother. And he came from, where do you come from there, brother, James, brother?
I come from Scotland, sir.
From Scotland. Oh, good day, mate, brother. Good day. Whatever, brother. It doesn't matter, dude. Let me tell you something, brother. I've wrestled all over the world, brother, and I've taken them all down, dude. Oh, my back, brother.
Oh, yeah, be careful. You got the,
got to ease that off. Andre done a number on you back in the day, man. You need to ease off, man.
Big brother, Andre the Giant, dude. Let me tell you something. When the boss told you to do something, brother, you did it, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. A lot of people call me racist. A lot of people call me sexist. I'm just Hulk Hogan, dude.
Don't you can't. Got to be careful with those discs, man. That lumbar spine is very fragile. All those leg drops over the years, man. I told you.
Oh, brother. So what's going on, brothers?
We're here to talk NXT, Hulk Hogan. Are you down to talk some NXT today? Do you know what NXT is?
No, not really, dude.
Okay. It's the developmental for the Fed.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. The only thing I developed, brother, are these 24-inch pythons, dude. And that's on a daily basis, brother. Hey, let me tell you something. I remember back in the day, brother, when Hulkamania was running wild and I was with the Junkyard Dog. And we were running New York City, dude. What's going on, brother?
Whoa.
Right.
Oh no, he had another short-term memory lapse.
Oh no.
It looks like the yeah.
Hold on, brother. Hulk Hogan's got some special pills, brother, to get things running around, brother. Brother.
Yeah, definitely want to take those pills.
Yeah. What? You got the candy shop today, Hogan?
Yeah, brother. You know what, brother? I'll be right back, dude. I'm gonna get my brother Big Ray, dude, and brother.
Oh yeah, we know Big Ray. Yeah. He's probably go ahead and put Big Ray on. He'll put you to bed and make sure that you can't hurt yourself. And
have a cup of
Big Ray.
Have a cup of cocoa. Have some cocoa. Get yourself all nice and cozied up. Look after yourself. Put a little bit of Netflix on. Go back in the glory days. Go back and watch 1990. Those are good times for you, Hogan. Go back there. You treat yourself. Treat yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hogan, I don't think there's any room for Hulk Hogan in 2020. I'm sorry, Hulkster.
Well, anyway, brother, what you gonna do with Hulkamania, NXT, and developmental, and steroids, and all this other cool stuff, brother?
No steroids.
No
steroids. No steroids.
What are you telling me, dude?
Kayfabe. We got a kayfabe, brother.
Run wild on you. Asha, 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 asha.
And as we open up the show, we were talking about stay in school. It is highly important. Otherwise, well, the things.
Hey, I'm Star Trek, man. I'm blown away. Like the fact that Hulk Hogan wanted to step in, say hello on my appearance. That's a pleasure. That's an honor. That's big time.
It just goes to show you never know who's going to pop in here on Hameen Media. You just never know. James, what are you drinking? I have to ask. There, are you having a Guinness there?
I'm having a Hop House 13. You're close. It's around about the same brewers who are making it. So,
really?
The afternoon. Oh, hello.
Oh, hey, it's Ray.
Hey.
All right.
Hey, what the hell?
It's going.
What is this background? How do I change this? What is this? What is going on over here?
Well, you missed it actually. We had Hulk Hogan randomly here.
Yeah.
I guess are y'all roommates?
What do you mean Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, the Hulkster himself. He was talking about racism and steroids and everything. What? It was definitely him.
Did you not see him?
No.
You can't miss him with the pythons, man. How'd you not see him?
Bro, I just walked in. It smells like old man and baby oil.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. Yeah.
That's the mark of the Hulkster right there.
Yeah. Anyway, so when are we starting to record this thing? When are we going live?
We're on. We're live, pal.
Oh, do I do the gimmick and stuff or?
Well, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your NXT report. I don't know what to say. I'm the man with a plan. I'm so freaking confused right now. What is going on here? Seriously,
What's
guys. Wrong? I don't know. I'm the reporter, the people, the man with the plan. Big Ray here to stay to be absolutely confused today.
Well, either Ray, did you get to have a chance to sit down last night's NXT? That's the real question I want to ask.
Absolutely, I watched NXT last night. That's the only one of the only products besides Impact Wrestling that I do watch. Don't watch AEW. Hey, James McIvor, what's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I was getting worried. I'm good. I'm looking forward to it. I just met Hulk Hogan. I don't know how I missed him, but this is great. But you know what? This is bigger. This is the real deal. Big Ray Hernandez here to stay. The man with the plan on the NXT review. This is the time. This is it. Oh wait, hang on. Hang on. I forgot my own gimmick here. Good morning, Hameen Media Group. There we go.
How wonderful. Hey, not for nothing, James. And Doctor, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but James, your eyes are quite dreamy in real life.
I try my best. I put drops in every day, make sure they really sparkle, and then stay away from screens for the longest time. There we go.
That's better. But how the hell did the Hulk Hogan gimmick get on, though? Seriously.
Sometimes with Ben Hameen, with his hacker feeds, you never know who's going to get, crossed in the streams. And, he's connected to everyone, everyone that has an IRL, somehow Ben Hameen has him hacked into his system.
I don't know how much you saw, Ray, but Hulk Hogan really looked like he needed all the help he could get. So any kind of charity that got thrown his way, it would have been big help for him. He looked like he was in need.
That's sad. That's sad. Why would he be here in the Lower East Side of New York City? I'm just curious.
That's a good question.
What are these steroids?
Those are steroids.
I know that.
Well, I'm glad at least they have the childproof lock on them. You know, that's very important. That's the
anyway. Hey guys, so yeah, I did watch NXT. Interesting show last night. Interesting show. Some things I liked, some things I didn't like. Just like anything. Just like, you know, it's pro wrestling. I like it a lot better than AEW, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, I'll be honest. I've only seen one episode of AEW, and the one episode I saw was okay, but I only have so much time during the week to watch wrestling. James, do you watch AEW?
Not all that often, and then when I do, I have the misfortune of picking an AEW show that's not good. It's not good at all. Like I don't know what it is. It's just how they've produced their show just now. It just doesn't seem to sit right with me. It just doesn't really jive with me. Like, I don't know if it's because WWE's like the cozy home. You know, we've had it for so long. We've grown up with it. We've lived with it. So when you see WWE, you lean to it. NXT, even this week's NXT, I thought was really good. I really enjoyed it. And then even things like the takeover shows, if you compare them, like the last All Out show was garbage. I had to watch that and I thought it was absolutely atrocious. But then you see small shows like the takeover shows and it's quite nice. It's quite refreshing. So I would say NXT over AEW every day of the week.
Wow.
Don't shoot the messenger. But I think I don't know if it's just my luck, if it's the timing of when I see an AEW show and it's just not the right show to watch at the time, if it's not quite jived, or maybe it's just pants all the time and I'm just not realizing it. Who knows?
It's like playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun when it comes to AEW. But let me ask you a question, James, and I've been dying to ask you this. I should have wrote you this in it. Are you drinking beer? What time is it where you are?
It's 3 p.m. It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, Ray, you know.
Actually, before we deviate real quick, I wanted to only because I'm a spirits guy. Only because we were talking about it a second ago. So it's a lager you have there. Is that available? Do you know in the States or no? Because
House 13.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
So.
Really, but you said it was brewed by the same people that brew with Guinness, correct?
As far as I know, yeah, it's brewed by the same company that brew the Guinness lager, so it's quite nice. I quite like a beer. I sometimes like a whiskey now and again. I'm quite a big fan of my single malts, so you can't go wrong with that. I've got a big bottle of 15-year-old Balvenie behind me, ready to crack open at any given moment.
I love it. I do enjoy a good Scotch from time to time as well. Can you hold up the beer one more time, only because I want to make sure I remember it. Wow, Hop House 13. Okay, 13. All right. I'm gonna have to seek it out.
So
I'd like my advertising checks in the post, please. Hop House 13.
There you go. Yeah. I
got two questions.
Yes.
Number one, the tip of my cup smells like vitamins. I don't know why. That's different. I don't know what that is about. Anyway, James, what's the difference between shit and shite?
None. It's just the pronunciation of it. It depends on where you're from. So because I'm Scottish, it's, you know what, I quite like to think it was how you describe things. So shit and shite are the same thing, but depends on how serious you want to be. Because if, say, like your team did really bad, but it wasn't that bad, you're like, oh, that was shite. But if you're really angry, you go, that was shit, and you put the T on it, and you really go for it. So it's the same word. It's just everyone's got their own way of saying it. But I quite like to use shit when I'm more serious. And shite when I'm having a bit more of a laugh, I'm a bit more at ease, a bit more relaxed for that day. It depends on my mood, but yeah.
Got it. Question asked. You know, Doctor, this is the first time me and James McIvor have ever done a show together.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. First time I've done an episode with McIvor as well, though certainly, Ray, you've been around the Hamid media family much longer than I have, so it's pretty remarkable here. We're making history on this day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is the moment where the smack attack finally crosses paths, because we never done it. Never had.
That's right.
We never had that proper passing of the torch moment. This passing of the ships at night. It was like, here we are. Here we go.
I have a lighter. I don't have a torch. Does that work? There you go. All right. Anyway.
But no, this is a pleasure. Like, I don't know if you listened to the smack attack yet, Ray, but it was a huge honor for me and Joe to take over from the show and take on the mantle from you and Colin. You know, it's big shoes to fill, without a doubt. So to be trusted with the smack attack is a big deal for us to kind of carry on your baby. I mean, you had the smack attack from the longest time since, am I right in saying before the Hammy Media Group days? So
Technically,
you know what? It's but it's a huge pleasure, and it's always fun to do it. Like jump in on it and take part. You're always welcome to come on the show anytime. I said it last week. I'll say it every week until the day we get you on.
That might happen sooner than later.
Yeah,
That might happen sooner than later.
Like that.
But anywho, so Mr. Doctor Ted.
Yes.
So yeah, man, NXT last night. Hey, Doc, did you hear that somebody could actually see John Cena?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw on the YouTube versions that I was watching that he was lifting trash bags.
No, dude. No, we're talking about a ball and chain. He actually got married.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
So what do you think of what let me ask you, Dr. Ted, just out of curiosity, and I don't know why this makes me giggle so much, but Nikki Bella, I mean, she tried so hard, dude, over such a long period of time. And like I think like John Cena was like maybe like I got like tired of hearing this voice all the like time. You think that's what it was? Dude, he married this woman like quick, and she's so beautiful and bright. The new one.
You're right. It was interesting. I don't know. I mean, all I can do is speculate because I'm not close to him. But I would say it. I mean, my guess would be probably it had to do a lot with the kid situation, because I know she was all about having that baby and he was not about having that. And that's a big life decision. If you're not wanting to have kids and your spouse or significant other is absolutely feeling like they need to have kids, I don't think that's something that is. I don't think you can make that work ever, honestly, because someone's going to have to give up something and be unhappy. And so that relationship was doomed to fail from that point forward, in my opinion.
What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think a big part of it as well is like the whole baby thing, but also the whole reality TV aspect of it, like being part of Total Bellas and Total Divas all the time. Can you imagine having to go through that whole like baby drama thing, and then while she's having this planned or not conversation about it, have a big camera right in your face about that would piss anyone off. I'd get fed up with that real fast. Yeah. I wouldn't blame him in the slightest, but just so we know, right, you know how he did get married, you know, you're sure she didn't get married to a cardboard cutout of John Cena, because we haven't had any confirmed sightings of John Cena for a while. So you positive it was him? Are you absolutely sure it was John Cena?
True. It could have been another Hulk Hogan situation where some people don't.
Oh my God.
Okay, might have just dyed his hair, right?
Maybe it was John Cena's Mexican cousin, Juan Senya. No?
It could have been. Only you can get away with that joke, Ray.
Damn right I can.
Well, either way, I mean, assuming it is true, good for John for finding love, and hopefully it works out better than his last marriage did, which obviously didn't turn out. Brother. What? What? Anyway, what do you guys say? You all want to go ahead and get into this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's before we do, did you all get a chance? Because I only want to put this over because this was really good. Did you all see? It was only on the YouTube page. Maybe it was on the network. Prior to the show, they had a little promo with Breezango doing a breakdown of the tag team match that we opened the show with.
No.
I mean, I'm going to play it for you. It's only 2 minutes long, and that way, and it's actually one that's audio friendly, so that way people listening can be good on this as well. Let me, of course, now I can't find it.
Cool. I want beer now.
I know, I do too. It's too early though. I can't attend it. Well, hold on. I got to turn my.
Is that Ric Flair?
Woo! Is that Ric Flair? Yeah.
Now we have the smoke.
Let's see.
Where's the rainbow? Taste the rainbow.
Really? We're doing that?
This makes for a terrible.
There's like a Skittles advert.
Oh shit! This makes for awful television.
Is that a?
There we go.
Pornhub. Oh, okay.
Wait, hang on. Where are we going?
All right, make sure you all can see it first. Get my microphone closer.
You might want to press play, my friend.
I know. Yeah. I'm just getting it ready for you guys.
That's great.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I was like, man, it's a shame. I can see why, because I mean, they had got a lot of business in on the show last night. But
what is that? Is Edge coming out right now? What's going on?
Whoa! But I wish they would have been able to put that on the show. I can understand from time purposes, but that was gold. That was good stuff right there. Always big fan of Breezango's stuff. So wanted to share the love with you guys. Speaking of love, Well, that leads us right into the first. Well, I guess it isn't really. That wasn't a good segue. This has nothing to do with love. This is fighting. This is championship. This is wrestling.
The love of wrestling. The love of fighting.
And we started things off with the NXT Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match. But first, we had Kyle O'Reilly on the microphone. He said the second coming of the Golden Prophecy begins tonight when Strong and Fish earn a tag team title shot. So before we get into the match, what did y'all think about this opening promo by Kyle O'Reilly?
It's a bit meh for my liking. It sounded really weird. It sounded like a teenager talking at times. It was like, yeah, guys, we're going to be tag team champions and I'm coming for you. The way he said it was really weird. It didn't sound like a grown man, a dangerous athlete talking. It just sounded like a kid pretending to be a wrestler at times. It felt so jarring to me. And I don't want to just slam him because he's fantastic. It was just the way he spoke. It was like the right words, but the wrong tone. And it didn't quite set right with me. And I don't know if it was if it was done on purpose or if that's how he talks normally. It just fell a bit flat for my liking.
Yeah. If I was watching this for the very first time and I never saw him cut a promo before, I would think the same thing. I'd be like, wow, this guy is bad. This guy doesn't, or that he doesn't care. You know, like Ember Moon doesn't care about her waistline. He doesn't care about cutting this promo. And that's how I felt. I agree with you, James. Like this was what's the term used? Meh.
Yeah.
It lacked an intensity to it for sure. And right. I couldn't help but wonder because go ahead, James.
I mean, this was a Kyle O'Reilly who's come back from an NXT title match with Finn Balor, a hard hitting fight with Finn Balor. And that's the promo we're getting off the back of that. Not good enough.
Right.
Why
it's almost like it's like the promo didn't match the intensity of the match. The match they had, was an all-out banger. They kicked the shit out of each other for real, even way more than they should have. But the promo didn't really translate that when he spoke. Yeah. And I couldn't help but think, because I feel like they're putting him more in. I feel like over time they've been putting Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly in more babyface situations and almost doing a slow turn with their babyface turns. And I couldn't help but wonder if maybe he's trying to not come across as heelish, but this wasn't it, unfortunately. And that's where I always say, if you're transitioning really from, well, I guess if you're transitioning from face to heel, you can kind of transition the character. But if you're a heel that's being put into a babyface situation and becoming a babyface, I feel, in my opinion, it really comes down to still maintaining your character. You don't change. You're just put in a situation to where now people are going to see you as a babyface. But when you try to say, okay, I'm a babyface now I'm a good guy, it doesn't work. And people are going to see how forced it is, and it's not going to come across as genuine, and you're not going to build that emotional connection like you want as a babyface. I could be wrong, but that was something I was thinking of. Maybe he was trying to come across more as a babyface, but really, if he would have brought that intensity and brought what I know he can do on the microphone in here and brought that emotion with it, I think it would have worked a lot more. This just unfortunately didn't sell on an emotional level.
Yeah, I don't even think this match needed the promo.
No, it didn't.
I think he just could have just had this match off the gate and it would have been absolutely fine. It was a great set of teams you've got out there. It was always going to be a really good match from them. You don't really need it. I mean, there's unfinished business with Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor. Let's do it when Balor's back, or that whole situation sorted. We'll talk about it in a bit, I imagine. But yeah, it was just an unnecessary promo before a somewhat pretty decent match for my liking.
Why do they feel? And when I say they, I'm talking about wrestling, the writers, the people that are writing wrestling now. Why do they feel that there has to be so much talking? I understand you have to put over character at times, but like to open a show, like why? Like, do you remember that stretch of Monday Night Raw? Well, what do you mean stretch of Monday Night Raw? Like every Monday Night Raw till now, that they open with a promo all the time, talking. I get it. You're setting the pace for the night, blah, blah, blah. But why do they feel like that needs to happen? Like is there like an unwritten rule? Like, oh, we need to say something before the show gets off. And there's wrestling, which is why people tune in. Doc?
Yeah. My only guess is that's their way of trying to, I guess, build emotional investment, because The thing is, a cold wrestling match, if you don't know the context of why they are fighting, then it's hard to get emotionally invested. And my guess is that's their way of saying, okay, by starting with a promo, we're going to start with some character and storyline development that's going to allow people to get emotionally invested in the story. But that can happen. But to rely on it as a trope, if you don't have something that's genuinely good story-wise to present in a promo, there's no sense in doing it. It's not going to hook the viewer. If anything, it's going to say, okay, he clearly doesn't care what he's talking about, and tune out. You know what I mean? I think, unfortunately, this was a situation where a great match followed, but if someone was tuning in for the first time and started to hear him talk, I think there's very likely people would have just tuned out because he didn't believe what he was saying.
No. I see. I real quick, James, I would have, if I was tuning in for the first time, I would have basically either changed the channel and then went back and maybe missed the first part of the match because I don't want to hear it. Like, I didn't want to hear this. The only reason I listened to this promo was because we were reviewing the show. So, yeah. But I'm sorry, James. Good.
Well, I was going to say, is this not part of the job of the commentator as well? Like, their role in this is to fill the story gaps, build this world around what's going on. They're the in-between between what's going on in the ring and the person watching the TV. They're supposed to guide you through this. They're supposed to tell this story through the words. That's what they're there for. So you're just adding on words that you don't really need to do. I mean, there's some wrestlers who will be really good at promos and then some that aren't good at promos. And the ones that aren't good at promos stick out like a sore thumb. And when it comes to trying to help them out, because the writing's not that great, it's like they're repeating themselves over and over. Whereas that's why commentators like Jim Ross was so good back in the day. Even Vince McMahon, to a degree, back in the 90s was good at it back in the day. They managed to develop that character points because they were selling you a character. They were selling you the storyline. Right now, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like we're selling anything. It's just, as you say, just saying things for saying things' sake. And it's not that great, in my opinion. I think you should give your performers a bit more credit in the ring and how they present themselves rather than just try and desperately fill the gaps with words. As you say, Ray, because if you're watching this for the first time and you're hearing this random promo, you don't know what it means. And if it's a rubbish promo, you're out. You're not buying this. You're not getting into this.
Rubbish. Get it out of here.
Yeah. But when you're a commentator, you're professional. You're in a stance of authority of knowledge, so you know what's going on. You can help bridge the gap. And it makes it easier for the viewer to get into things.
Dude, your mic is huge.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so like phallic and big. Like,
going
it's a big mic. I've never seen. Where'd you get that mic from, by the way?
I got it from Amazon. It's a Blue Yeti X. So the X for the big stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah.
My God, that's beautiful. Anyway, what happened? So yeah, so bad promo. I did not like. It sucked the life out of me before I started the show. Thank God that this match was awesome. I really enjoyed this match, Doc.
Yeah, this was a good tag team match. My only, I guess, criticism would be more from a booking standpoint. I think this, obviously, it wasn't a championship match, but a match like this should have been like the opening of a pay-per-view. Like this was one of those matches that, really gets people into the show and exciting. My criticism from a booking standpoint is this was hard to follow because this, I thought, as far as all the matches, this was probably the most elaborate, drawn out match. I don't know if it was, I guess the main event maybe, but this was one of the biggest matches on the show, and it's hard to follow when you do that, especially with the false finishes and everything else. But from a pure wrestling standpoint, it was very good. I just don't know if it necessarily did them any favors to start at such a high point. And then everything, and luckily they had some good quality stuff afterwards, but if they didn't, this could have very easily made the rest of the show come across as lackluster. But fortunately, they did a good job of keeping the pace up and having a lot of quality stuff on the show overall. So it worked out in their favor, but it's definitely one that could have gone the other way if they didn't have, good enough things lined up. But that's what I would say as far as that goes. It was for a wrestling match. It was very good. I did have one note, and it was the hot tag, of course. So, I'm going to say something about the hot tag. The hot tag wasn't bad. That being said, when they made the final hot tag, the heel was on the ground, and it is not as much of a threat if the heel is down when the tag is made as if the heel was up. If they just had one more dip, and the hot tag was very good where he slipped out, and I forget what happened eventually, but anyway, the heel was down and Oney Lorcan, I believe, made the tag to Danny Burch, and had Bobby Fish gotten up and caused one more dip, like he goes up between his legs or something, and then made the hot tag, that would have just been a little better. But that's me being purely nitpicky, and that's where it's one of those things where I'm going to say this, like if I were to talk to them in the back and say, I'm going to give you this one note, but just know it didn't matter because you all did the business. It was very good, and in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. But that being said, anytime you can get just a little more of an emotional or any more, like a bigger pop, or that emotional investment of, oh shit, they almost didn't make the tag, you're going to just get that much more out of it. But the actual finish was good. It was really innovative and different, and I'd say I enjoyed it a lot.
And I was going to say that the finish, I was afraid that it was going to be one of those kick out finishes, if you know what I mean, right? Like he hit the finisher, and it was like, okay, is he going to kick out again? Is he going to kick out again? But no, they didn't. So I think I like the pace of the match, and it wasn't that long. It was like perfect, like when it came to pacing, and there's just something, man, after what happened last week with the big guy that got injured, his leg injured, and what's his name again? Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? Rich
Holland.
Yeah, with Rich Holland. Mm-hmm. I was really hoping they would do something with these kids. With kids, they're not kids. They're probably my age. Oney Lorcan and Gimmick Jones, but I just I don't know, man. They don't do it for me at all. There's nothing that pulls me, and I get it. Like I said, I get they're tough guys and they're good wrestlers. Don't get me wrong, but like I see their career, man, like being like TNA wrestlers or heading over, overseas and doing stuff for smaller promotions. Like, I don't know, man. I think that this pond is too big for those fish. In my opinion. Yeah, I don't see anything special in these guys, and they're not going to do nothing with them. They're just two guys in black tights. Seen it, done it. Nah.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
It's a shame they can't find something with them because they are a really solid tag team. But you're right, they really don't, and that's where emotional context comes down to everything. Having character comes down to getting over. And so if they're going to want to have a long, successful run, they do need to come up with something. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but just something to really allow viewers to sink their teeth into it.
It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough for them because another thing they have. It's weird because they both individually have unique looks about them, but nothing that pops out to me. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Daniel Price in the chat room, he said O'Reilly's stupid little strut killed it for me. Want to put that over. And he also, Killer Commander says that promo was the bee's knees, to use a British euphemism. So is that bad? Is bee's knees bad?
It's good.
That's
good. I guess
bee's
Killer
knees
Commander
is good.
likes it. Oh.
I disagree.
I disagree too. Sucked.
Daniel Price says Ray likes the mushroom tip on that big black mic.
I sure do.
Yeah,
it does kind of look like a mushroom tip.
Absolutely. Don't touch it like that. Actually do it, but then look at the camera. Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Come on. What are we doing here? Don't stop touching the mic, please. Anyway. So all right. So now, what are we moving on to here?
Sorry, I got caught up in the chat room. I never want to forget our live listeners.
Hey, so while you're doing that, I got Mackenzie Mitchell backstage, showing how the NXT champion Finn Balor underwent his surgery on his broken jaw. What the hell happened, James, to Mackenzie Mitchell's face? Seriously.
I don't even know.
What the hell? I was like, that's Mackenzie Mitchell? She looked terrible. She looked
all about her last week?
Huh?
You were all about her last week, though.
No, but the thing is this, like, I don't know what they did. Like, did she get surgery? Like in 1 week? She looked totally different, dude, than what I ever. I mean, you've watched Impact Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So you remember Mackenzie Mitchell?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't Mackenzie Mitchell. But anyway, pretty gruesome pictures of Finn Balor backstage.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Not Mackenzie Mitchell, Finn Balor.
No. Finn. No, yes, Finn Balor. We're putting over the gruesomeness of the Finn Balor gimmick. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Ben Hameen /Stevie Richards /Greek God Papadano /SEG shirts. Then you're gonna end up like him, Finn Balor, with the swollen jaw. But what did you gents think of this this little segment putting over the injuries and surgery of Finn Balor?
I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to put over something that's real, you should. And so it's one of those things where I wish it didn't happen, and it really shouldn't have happened. You know, had both of them worked, you know, much safer style and not done certain things, neither one of them would have walked away injured. But it happened. We're dealing with it. So I'd say show it as gruesome as it truly is in real life, because again, that's real, and that's what's going to help build emotional context and get people invested in the story. As much as it sucks that it's happening, you might as well take advantage of it since it's happening anyway. James?
Yeah, I totally agree for that there. The one thought I had off the top of my head for this whole thing was, how do you feel about Karrion Kross? I mean, as soon as he had his injury, that belt was off him.
Yeah.
Right away. They didn't mess around. Finn Balor's had this fractured jaw for a couple of weeks now, and he's just went into surgery, so he's out for a little bit longer, and he's still got the belt. And I'm not saying they should just strip him of the title by any means. I don't like seeing that in general, but it seems like they set a precedent with Karrion Kross, and then the exact same situation has come about, and they've went a different route for that there. And it just kind of rubbed me up the wrong way a little bit. I can kind of get what they're doing, but it just, he's going to come back a baby. You talked about this last week when he had the injury with his ankle and he put the thumbs up.
Yeah.
You're baby facing him. I mean, do you want to baby face him right now, or is he still a heel? What are we doing? I mean, they still haven't quite made up their minds as well at the moment, as it seems, but something like this always seems to draw sympathy on someone. So when they come back, they get a big cheer. Everything's happy with them again. Yeah. Whereas, are we wanting him to be the badass that he was? I mean, we don't necessarily have to show this. You can say he's had a fractured jaw. We get it. He had a fractured jaw. It's almost this sort of thing that WWE have, where anyone who has a proper, legit surgery, they have to show it. Yeah. If it's like a knee surgery, a jaw surgery, if it's like Triple H with these quads, they have to show you them having the surgery, and in some part of the recovery process, it's some kind of thing they've got that they just can't let it be. Right. It's almost like they don't. It's almost like they don't want people to believe it. They want people to think, right, look, it really is happening. We're not babying you. It's legit. It's like we know that. It's
right.
Not dumb these days.
And
I think.
Go ahead.
No, on you go. That's fine. I was just finishing up.
I was going to say, and to that point, I think especially if you are building a heel and they're coming back, showing that rehab process and surgery, you're right, it builds empathy, and it doesn't really put you in a good position to generate heat. In Finn Balor's case, I think with him being more in the babyface role, I think that's okay. And about the Killer Cross thing, that's a fair point, not one that I thought of. When he got injured, they stripped him right away. When Finn didn't. The only way I can think that it would make sense is from a legit injury standpoint that Finn Balor is likely to come back in a much shorter time frame than Karrion Kross.
That's what I thought.
And so if he is able to come back in a reasonable amount of time, then I think that's a good thing. Because in my opinion, this is my build for Finn Balor's title reign and eventually Karrion Kross to take it off of him. As Finn Balor continues to be the fighting champion and have these long drawn out matches, hopefully no longer hurting himself, but he has these 20 to 25 minute bangers with, there's a lot of guys on the roster he could have it with. Tommaso, Johnny Gargano, a lot of the guys on the roster. That being said, I think he should have these long drawn out matches for the next few months. And then whenever Karrion Kross is ready to come back, that's when we need to have something like a Goldberg Brock Lesnar style match where Karrion Kross comes in and just demolishes Finn and beats him in less than 2 minutes. And it's just a holy shit. Now that is how you build a contender. That's what I was hoping actually they're going to do with him and Keith Lee, but I can understand wanting to protect Keith Lee more. But I think with the size difference between Karrion Kross and Finn Balor, it would be believable. And I don't think it would really bury Finn Balor because he's already shown himself top of the mount. If anything, it just shows, well, Karrion Kross is just that much more of a force that no one's going to be able to stop him. And that would be my story pitch.
I agree with you. And that's the first thing I thought of, when it comes to, I think it was his shoulder for Karrion, right?
Yes.
Shoulder injury. Yeah. So separated shoulder, maybe they want to take more time with the guy. They want to make sure that he's fully healed because most of his offense, he's picking people up and throwing them. You don't throw people with your jaw. So I think that's like in the simplest form. That's probably why they didn't do it.
And I'll say from a rehab standpoint, real quick, that the shoulder being a ball and socket joint, every time it dislocates, you're at increased risk of it happening again. So that's one of those injuries that, I mean, if he were to continue to dislocate that shoulder, he's going to eventually be fucked and be done. And so something like a jaw, I mean, granted, you want to be able to eat, but at the same time, you can physically perform otherwise in the ring.
And also, I wanted to put out that the WWE has invested a lot more money in Finn Balor than they have Karrion Kross. So I think it's a pecking order thing type gimmick as well. So I think maybe perhaps they're like, let's not take the belt. Like Karrion Kross is just coming in, I see why. I understand why they took the belt off. But you know what I didn't understand, Doc?
What's that?
Would you like to know what I didn't? I didn't understand this terrible sit-down interview with the most terrible. I'm gonna call it. That's it. That's what I'm gonna call it from now. She is the most terrible thing on NXT. Oh. Ember Goon, sitting there, just, dude. Oh, I hate it. All
right, before we bias James's opinion, Ray, because I know your opinion. James, what did you think about this Ember Moon promo?
Well, I'm glad we get to talk about this because one little boy done his homework last week from last week's show. You asked us about what Ember Moon should do to make it better.
Oh yeah, we did have homework, and no one turned it in. So thank you, I appreciate it.
So I'm turning it in right now. I'm going to turn it around a little bit. I'm going to tell you something that Ember Moon shouldn't do, and that's talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck me, these promos are awful. I think she's really good at what she does in the ring, and she's got a great presence. But as soon as she starts talking, for whatever reason, whether it's how they write the promos, how they direct the promos, it's rubbish. It's just not good enough. And for me, she needs to not talk. And I don't mean that to be a slight on her in any way. But what I want is like that drawback to when she came to NXT originally. When she first came on, when Ember Moon was this presence, she didn't talk much. She just made herself a presence. The way her mannerisms, how she looked, her eyes. I loved what she done with her eyes, how she put on different contact lenses to change the colors of them, her costumes. When she ran into the ring, her style of wrestling, that spoke volumes about her as a character. She didn't need to talk. That was the selling point, wasn't in the talking. And then we talked about it earlier where it's like, we're trying to fill too many gaps here by having promos, having wrestlers talk about themselves. Or that last week was rough. That was really rough. When you've got someone coming out and saying, this is kind of corny, isn't it? And then saying that. No, you can't. You're just blowing off the deal right away. And then you're doing this. It was almost like a backhanded compliment as well. You had her do this little promo, but then the second half of it was literally selling the women's division of NXT. It had nothing to do with Ember Moon. It's like she named them off. It was like just picking names of people who are in the women's division, and that was it. So what we did here was have Ember talk where we didn't need her to talk. And then we sold the women's division that we do all the time. And it's fine. It's a good division. It speaks for itself. That's pretty much this whole promo is encapsulated in my mind. They speak for themselves. You don't need a promo like this to sell Ember Moon. You don't need Ember Moon to talk at all to sell Ember Moon. You just let her do her thing in the ring and be a presence. And the women's division is great in NXT. It's lovely to watch. We don't need them to be told. I don't need to be told that all the time. There's no need.
It sounds like it comes down to three words that Ben says often, and that's show, don't tell. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like James, I agree with you 1,000%. I think you and I are very like-minded. I feel that when you guys are reviewing the Smack Attack, that's why the transition was so easy, even though it came off. I think you guys, honestly,
you all are killing it. Honestly,
you guys do a really, really, really freaking excellent job, man. Seriously, like I'm not even just putting it over. It's like really good, and I enjoy the as an American, I enjoy the different, like listening to the different terms that you use. That's why I asked you about shite and and saying something is bollocks, and stuff like that. Like I love that stuff, and it brings like a little spice to, I think, Hami media, a little flavor. But anyway, what didn't bring spice was the fact that this idiot is and I don't know if it's her or if it's the people. It's probably the people writing for her. The idiot writing this, she's the idiot because last week she called Ember's Law corny, like we just stated, and then now she puts over everyone, like James was saying, but she says Ember's Law will lead her back to the title. So that corny thing that she buried last week that I can't get out of my mind. Now, every time I listen to that, I think Ember's Law equals corny. Ember's Law equals forced. Ember's Law equals BS. That's what I'm thinking the whole time that she's talking. And then she's sitting there and there is no character. There's nothing. It's just a really cute, African-American chick sitting there talking. That's all it is. That's all she is. And she is not doing anything to help herself. All I know is, let me tell you something. This is the funny thing. Everybody that she named, that they flashed. Remember last week you said, Dr. Ted, something about what's the young lady that Tony Cakes, when she cut that promo, how she, at the end of her promo they flashed, they should have flashed like some of her moves or finishers or whatever, and then she says what she says. That's what they did this week, but not for Ember. They did it for all the other stars, and they and everybody looked awesome except for Ember. And dude, I think this, I'm telling you, I really think this is it. 2021, they're going to give up on her. Unless she totally changes her character, unless she does something crazy, like, I don't know, comes in like super lean and really changes her look into something. I don't know, dude. Maybe the whole crazy wolf girl isn't her thing. Maybe she should, what she should be? Maybe she should be a Valley girl. Maybe that's her thing. Because I could believe her, dressed real prim and proper or real cutesy and trendy and like, oh my God, why not? Do they have a Valley, an African-American Valley girl? Not really. No. I don't think so. So hey, WWE, think about that. Put her in a Valley girl gimmick. I mean, it's the Black Valley girl thing is very popular on the internet. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just type in Black Valley girl. And you have to be over 18 to find out what I'm talking about. But it is a very popular thing. So I think she can get over. My son is annoying me. I have to go help him with something. He's in virtual school right now, and he keeps popping his head and going, Dad. So give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. All right.
Go help your son.
This might happen again. So
that's okay.
I'm gonna hit him. What? All right. I'll be right back.
We'll trudge. Jesus. Well, we trudged forward back to in-ring action. And it looks like the cruiserweights are getting an opportunity to showcase as we have Ashante, the Adonis versus Jake Atlas. Although it wasn't much of a match. They got about 2 minutes before Adonis got distracted from the arrival of Raul Mendoza and Joaquin. I can't pronounce it. Joaquin Wild. Hakeem Wild and Atlas used an inside cradle to get the win. Legado del Fantasma jumps. Well, let's start with it wasn't much of a match. We'll do the whole segment. Legado del Fantasma jump Adonis, but Atlas dives out onto the team to even the odds when Santos Escobar comes out and what was truly an amazing jacket, I have to say. They walk to the ring, but Isaiah Swerve Scott quickly throws chairs into the rings and says, "What up, guys? You want some of these chairs?" And they did not want some of these chairs as they backed away. And that was the segment. James, what did you think about this little segment?
It was a thing. It happened. It just, as I say, like we as Ray's been alluding to through this week and last week, it was, if you're a first time viewer and you just saw this, you'd be confused. You'd be like, what's going on? These two are having a match.
You were confused then, because you haven't watched in a while. Yeah. Was this somewhat confusing to you then, as far as understanding?
A little bit. Like, I get the whole the Phantasma's group, and they're coming in to like sort of cause problems, cause trouble, as you will, as heels like to do. But then out of nowhere, you've got two folk who were wrestling each other not 30 seconds ago, now helping each other out, and then Isaiah Swerve Scott appearing out of nowhere with chairs to hand to everyone to be like, "Oh, stay away." And then that was it. There was no other substance than what it was. There was no promo. There was no other things add on to this, unless you followed this story for weeks, and this is the first time viewing it, you wouldn't have a clue what's going on.
And I always try to tell myself to try to listen to the announcers more. And sometimes things will still pop into my head, but I didn't really listen. I don't know if you did, as far as were they trying to explain the story between Legado and these guys or no? I mean, they could have had a passing line, but really it should have been like, oh, here's Legado del Fantasma. Now we've seen for weeks, these guys have been terrorizing different members of the Cruiserweight division, namely Swerve Scott, blah, blah, blah. But at least, put over what's been happening. So when, Swerve Scott is here, you know what I mean? Then that would have at least made sense.
I mean, there's a little bit of that, but not a lot. Not enough.
Not enough to give enough of an explanation. So this segment tend to serve more of those that have been watching regularly versus someone tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, and my only other issue with this was why chairs? Why do we need chairs? It just made the other guys seem weak in my mind. Like,
that's a fair statement. I guess, yeah, you're right. Especially as baby faces, you should always at least be ready to match the heels. But you're right, the heels didn't have any weapons. So why didn't Swerve just come in and say, "What's up? Let's go"? You're right. That's a fair statement. I didn't even think about that. But
there was no clear cut advantage. It was still like even lines. No one had any advantage over the other because they were like two were in the ring, the other three were on the ramp. There wasn't really anything else going on apart from that. You didn't really need the chairs. You just being the third guy and just stuck up for yourselves. Be a bit tougher. Look better in the end of it as well.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for waiting. My son had issues logging back onto his virtual class.
And not to mention, even more importantly, it's no problem. Anytime, right? Family is always more important. But I would say also it was an opportunity to give the heels more heat because if they back away from chairs, well, that makes sense. They have weapons. They don't. So that there's no really heat in backing away from guys that are getting ready to kick your ass with a bunch of weapons versus if the third guy, Swerve Scott, jumps in and then the heels back away, well, now they're pussies because, hey, it's a fair fight at this point. Now they're backing away. Now that's more heat on the heels. So I think that is absolutely a fair point. Small difference, but you're right. That would have been a better choice for them not to have it.
It's another situation where I feel that NXT is overbooking things. Like there was absolutely no need for it. I agree with you, James. That's really well thought out because you want to make the heels. The thing is that, they want to be chicken shit, right? They want to be scared. The heels don't want a fair fight. And the baby faces came in and they made it a very unfair fight with the weapons. Yeah. So then who are the heels here? The baby faces are the heels, which is absolutely confusing. Like if I was watching this, let's say I'm not a wrestling fan, I'm watching this. I'm like, well, why do they need chairs? Wow, those bad guys must be really tough, really dangerous. So it kind of buries how tough and dangerous the good guys are. You know what I'm saying? They need a weapon to beat up the bad guys. So that's a problem for me. And that's it may be a little thing, but it's kind of like I'm noticing it's an ongoing thing week by week. And again, I don't know if Ted, if you told anyone or if but I'll be filling in here for the next couple of weeks. Maybe. Oh, no, I haven't yet. Yeah, maybe not. Not next week. I don't get mad at me. Actually Thursday. Yes, I'm playing softball Wednesday. So
they're gonna have it. Ray is gonna be filling in, but not all the time. But sometimes Ray will be here.
Yes, not all the time, but sometimes. Just like the way they book NXT. Sometimes
Ray is the permanent, temporary, occasional guest host from here on out, guys.
Right, and seriously, I don't know what's. I could swear that I saw a guy walk by with a bag and a snake in it. Like, what's going on over here? It's weird. All these, I don't know. Anyway,
I can't ever tell when you're ribbing or shooting. What? What did you say, James?
Are you safe right now? Are all the doors locked and all the windows closed? You'll be fine.
I don't know, dude. I mean, seriously, I came on this show. You guys telling me that I had a guest here, which I didn't let in. And now I'm seeing people walking back and forth. Maybe my son has a friend over. It doesn't matter. But yeah, man. So this is terribly booked. I didn't like this. It did nothing for the baby faces. And I think we move on to I think a brighter spot if it's cool.
I have one thing that, first I did want to say, and I'm inclined to agree with you. I think this business could have been absolutely done better. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was bad. But that being said, I didn't think it was overly effective. And in that sense, I guess you could say it is bad. But one thing it didn't do that could have been worse is nothing that they did buried the business, as far as nothing looked business exposing. Like nothing looked like not real or anything like that. Now, granted, there was significant opportunities for the baby faces to get more over and the heels to get more heat. And that's the real shame of it. And that's where the business, again, wasn't as good as it could have been. The other part I feel remiss in saying is that bandana in Ashante's shorts bothered the hell out of me. And if I was wrestling him, I would have absolutely taken it from him.
Right.
But in part because my character back in the day was always looking to steal gimmicks from other characters anyway, but that's beside the point.
It's kind of like the old IRS thing where he was always wearing a tie in the ring. And people are like, why did he never grab the tie? You know, how come? Oh, I would have too. I would have
done the spot where he's halfway in the ropes and he's hanging on the middle rope. You punch him, grab the tie, pull him in, punch. You know what I mean? Back and forth through the slingshot gimmick.
I mean, it's not for nothing, but I'm going off cuff here. But Bobby the Brain Heenan was just the best. And I was watching an IRS match, believe it or not, like a couple of weeks ago. Just random. I was bored at work, and Bobby Heenan, I forgot he was wrestling Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And Hacksaw actually stepped on the tie to hold him down. And Bobby Heenan is like, is he stepping on his tongue? It was just so perfect, man. Oh, I love Bobby the Brain Heenan. He is, man,
my favorite. Absolute
the greatest of all time. Anywho. But dude, I'm telling you, dude. This whole, we're talking about the Ashante Jake Atlas match, right?
Yes. Which we can move on from here, but I just wanted to bring up the bandana part because that
I just want to say again. That Jake Atlas, I'm hoping that whatever's going on, really didn't happen regarding his legalities, because I'm telling you, man, this kid, wow, in his early 20s. I love the way this kid sells. I love the way this kid looks. I love the way this kid wrestles. I really genuinely love everything about him. And if he didn't make that era in Judgment, which I really, again, feel that if WWE knows, you know what I'm saying? I think they know when to pull somebody off of TV and that, whoa, this guy's screwed. We're going to have to release him. I don't know, man. I think this kid's going to be a huge star. I think in the next year or two, he'll be on the main roster. That's how good he is. And he's 24? I think we found out last week. He's a kid. So I don't know, man. We'll see.
You're absolutely right. A hell of a lot of talent. He's got a bright future, and hopefully he can keep his head on straight and take advantage of it. But either way, as you were saying, Ray, we move on to a much brighter spot coming up next. I don't know if you wanted to take it, run with it there.
Yeah, sure, man. We have Austin Theory, another guy that I really love, versus Johnny Gargano. And this was a damn good match. Now, before the match, we had Mackenzie Mitchell backstage with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. They were discussing the match, and Gargano goes on about how it's their destiny to be champions at the same time. And he also has words for Mr. Austin Theory, and he's going to teach him a lesson tonight. But let me tell you something. Austin Theory, another kid that I see big things for moving forward. I mean, this kid talking about look and charisma and in-ring acumen, so on and so forth. This kid put up a good match, and I felt they did a great job at, even though Gargano winning the match, right? Even though Gargano won the match, but he walked away, that being Johnny Gargano, giving the kid the nod, like, oh, you're something. Yes, I mean, James, do you agree? Like they did a great job at putting over. Gargano wins, but Austin Theory turned out to be the winner in this match.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like, Gargano was the only person that done any help from in this match for my liking, that nod part. Because I don't know if you listened to the commentary about this here, but about 90% of it was about how he's been losing to different people, and he's lost to this person and lost to that. But it's okay because he's losing to good people. Now, I don't care who it is. I don't care what sport you're in or anything. If you've got a losing record, if you're not winning, you're not doing well. You're doing bad.
Right.
You can't spin that around and say that's a good thing. I mean, in wrestling, maybe a bit differently, but at the same time, it's like someone like Austin Theory doesn't need to be built off losses. He's very young. He's got a long career ahead of him. He's got so much potential. He's got so much in the bag already. And the Johnny Gargano match showed that. He's really good at what he does. So why do we make him lose all the time? Let's give him some wins. Let's help him out. He's in with top tier names in NXT, but he's always losing. I mean, can he not just get one? I mean, I get why we had Gargano win tonight. Don't get me wrong. There was business to be done, but at the same time, you need to help him out. You can't just have him lose all the time, and not just that.
Are you talking about Gargano or Theory?
Theory.
Okay.
So when you have Theory losing all these matches, and you have a big match with or someone, not just Gargano, we should be going on about it. Should be talking how big a deal this is. This is a great opportunity for Theory. This is a chance to make a name for himself. This is a chance to put him up there in title contention. We shouldn't be talking about saying it's a great match with Gargano, but he's lost to KUSHIDA, he's lost to this. He's learned a lot from losing, but he's lost a lot. I don't want to know about that. Just takes it out for me. It's like, as soon as I get told that repeatedly, I know he's not winning. The intrigue in the match goes. I want to think he's going to have a chance at winning, because there were spots in this match and moments in this match where it looked like he could have won it. But because Wade Barrett's telling us about his losing record, I'm just like, nah, Gargano's going to get out of this. He's going to win. It spoiled my interest in the match and generally it was a really good match. What it was, I think Austin Theory got done dirty a little bit. And I think Gargano was the only one, for my thinking, who had done any effort to make Theory look good. And then the nod at the end was brilliant. Mm-hmm. Just the commentary spoiled it for me. If you put this match on silent and just watched it without any commentary in the background, this is a spectacular match for Theory. Put the commentary on, not so much. It spoiled it for me.
And I will say, as a commentator, you sometimes, because obviously you're clued into what's going on. And I will say there were plenty of times when I was out there on live TV for OVW and would have to constantly think to myself, I don't want to foreshadow the finish, because it definitely can't happen. And so that's something where I'm sure it was unintentional in trying to tell the story of Austin's trying to, pick up a win here. But unfortunately, in the manner that he did it, it sounds like for you as a viewer, it kind of foreshadowed what was already going to happen. And so it kind of made it anticlimactic when it finally did eventually happen. I'll say from a working standpoint, I felt that the other part of that is Austin Theory, in a sense, kind of buried himself. Although for Johnny, it was a good thing, but he had that wicked cross-leg brainbuster gimmick, and then Johnny Gargano just kicked out. And it's like, I say this often, but guys have to learn to protect their shit. I mean, that's where Johnny Gargano should have found a rope, should have rolled out of the ring. Austin Theory should have, found something to, well, you got to go for the cover, but they at least set it up to where he didn't have to go for the cover. Like I said, either with grabbing the rope or rolling out of the ring, because as soon as Johnny Gargano kicked out, either Johnny Gargano is the biggest badass in the world because he just kicked out from getting his head almost decapitated, or Austin Theory just must be a giant pussy because despite the fact that he dropped the guy on his head, he wasn't strong enough to get the win. You know what I mean? And so little things like that. And Johnny Gargano is usually really good with not bearing a lot of shit, actually. My only thinking was maybe it was something that Austin Theory felt like he had to get in the match. And some guy, I believe, have been plenty of matches where, I just want to get this in. Please let me get this in. You can kick out. But it's like, you don't want to do that because you helped Johnny Gargano, but it made you look terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where I emphasize that a lot for a lot of guys, but you got to put over your stuff. It doesn't mean, again, that you can't have the right moment where something like that happens, but on just a regular TV match, that's not the time to be doing a big false finish like that, in my opinion.
Austin Theory is 23 years old. He's a kid. And, in a lot of cases, I'm going to use, let's say, basketball. Okay, basketball. When Kobe Bryant came into the league, Kobe Bryant didn't play a ton. He actually sat on the bench for the first couple of years, if I'm correct. He wasn't the greatest. It took him time to get there. And I think that's what they're doing with Austin Theory. I think unbeknownst to us, they are building empathy for this young kid that has all the tools in the world, but just can't get it right. Just can't get until maybe they align him with a manager. Okay, maybe that's in his future, some type of manager, or he will go under the wing of somebody like a Johnny Gargano. It could be the old Bruno Sammartino, Larry Zbyszko thing. If you guys are unfamiliar with that, back in the day, Bruno Sammartino, one of the greatest of all time, took Larry the living legend, Sammartino under Zbyszko underneath his wing, and that ended where the student turned against the teacher, and the student became a legend. You know, even though he lost, he did end up losing to San Martino, but San Martino made that kid. So I think maybe they could be building towards that. You know, again, 23 years old. He's a baby. He's only been drinking, wink, wink, for 2 years. Think about that, guys. Think about where you were at 23 mentally. The kid has all the tools in the shed. Now he has to find a way to use all the tools correctly. And this is going to be a slow build and burn. And I don't mind. And I get you. I get what you're saying, James McIvor. It's like a footballer, as you would say, one of the greatest of all time, Lionel Messi, right? This guy is the greatest of all time, right? But if he was on a losing team every single year, right, it wouldn't really matter. I get it. But in this case, this is an individual young man who I think they're doing the right thing with him, man. And I genuinely feel in the next couple of weeks, he will align himself with somebody like a Johnny Gargano. And that's what it's going to be. And if it's not, I'd be disappointed. What do you think, Doc?
You know, it is interesting, especially since they're doing the thing with Indy Hartwell and trying to help out Candace. You know, they could almost mirror that, and you could even have, you know, almost like not necessarily a romance angle, but still a romantic thing happening between Indy Hartwell and Austin Theory. And they're kind of like, for Candace and Johnny Gargano, they're grooming them to be their mentees, so to speak. And that could be something that be really good.
How about Gargano takes Theory under his wing, right? His wife takes the other young lady under her wing. They move him into the house with them. Okay.
Help pay the rent, you know.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and all type of different, like all different scenarios ensue. You know, you can have different scenarios. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the young kid hits on Gargano's wife or something. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I can go 1,000 different ways with this. But
or you could even have the opposite, where like you think they're going to do a romance thing, and Gargano and Candace like, hey, let's set them up, but they can't. And Indy Hartwell pulls Austin aside, like, you motherfucker, you don't, you know, this is my idea, not yours. You know what I mean? And more so like, don't you get between me and my business. You know what I mean? But then when they see Gargano and Candace, they play nice, like, oh hey, we were just having a chat, you know, no big deal. Like, that's so good. There's so many possibilities with that, and yeah, that would be good. It'd be interesting to see if I mean, so far they haven't foreshadowed that necessarily, but that would be an easy way to go based on the stuff they've done so far.
I would really love to sit down. Like, seriously, I have a friend that he actually wrote for SmackDown, I think in 2008 for 2 years. I'm not going to stooge off his name. I don't like to name drop, but I'll tell you off air. And this gentleman, I would like to sit down, though, with a writer now, or somebody that just came off of writing for the WWE, and ask him or ask her all these questions. Like, you know, like, how come you, me, or you and I, and James McIvor can sit here and think of all these really cool, interesting things that are long-term storylines that right now we just booked 2 months of TV easy in 5 minutes. So I'm just wondering, like why is it so hard?
Number one, as I would say, the vast majority, I mean, you got to think, Ray, I know it's hard to maybe see yourself this way, but you're a unique case in that you've been having the opportunity to be around some really bright minds in wrestling and really came to understand the other side of it and can bring more foresight into those kind of conversations than I think the average Joe off the street can, or even a regular writer, because you understand the context of what it means to write good within the environment of wrestling. So one, I'd say that is, you know, you're not just some random guy. You're someone that has a much better understanding of how to write good stories than 99.9% of people. Number two, I think when it comes to them picking writers, they look for they're not necessarily looking for we want someone that has the best ideas. They want someone that either has a background of enough on their resume from other TV shows that are successful, or someone that is basically a friend of someone else that they know would be a good yes man in the writer's room to help contribute. in my opinion. But it
Right.
seems to me it's one of two ways. Either you've made your name in Hollywood or movies and TV, and they want you part of it that way, or you've been around wrestling and have made the right connections to where, okay, you'd be good in the writer's room to have join us. So I could be wrong, but I feel like that is what comes down to why guys such as yourself or myself or Ben or Stevie aren't getting those kind of opportunities.
And I'll drop it.
Really?
I'll drop. What's that?
Like, I'll let you go first.
No, I was gonna say I'll drop his name. You guys can actually reach out to him if you want. He's cool. Andrew Goldstein. He is a good friend of mine that I met through another good friend of mine is Peter Rosenberg, and he wrote for SmackDown in the early the mid 2000s, and he is I think he has some stuff. You can find him on he has his podcast and he's on Instagram and stuff. You can he has the same questions. You know, maybe I'll bring him on. If you guys are down with it.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah. I'd love to pick his brain.
Yeah, Ange is cool, man. He'll definitely come on if he has time because he's working on so much stuff. But I would love to have him on to kind of ask him, you know, for a person that actually wrote for Vince McMahon, you know, why is it just so difficult? But you know, I'll give praise to our brother like James McIvor, who, you know, I don't know if you
some great points too.
You bring up some really good long-term booking. Your thought process is well thought out, and the fact is that, you know, James, you weren't raised by a professional wrestler. My dad was a wrestler, and then when my dad passed away, I got I've been he's like my uncle Bill Apter, who's somebody who I've been around. You know, I've worked with, you know, Nick Hausman's and Ben Hameen's and Stevie Richards, so I have that now. But you know, a guy like James McIvor, how come they don't hire a guy like this? A guy that clearly has a passion and understanding of the business and just like logical booking, which will, you know, create really good TV for a long period of time. I don't get it. Yeah, I really don't.
I don't either.
Thank you. I'm kind of blown away by that. Thank you so much. That's a big compliment. That means a lot.
But it's true.
That's yeah. Like for me,
hold on. You and your partner. You guys are both brilliant.
Joe, give big old Arthur's the cred on this one. But something I was going to bring up quickly. I mean, like, I could talk about like my ideas for days. I got so much in it, but one thing I want to bring up is like we talk about the writers' room and how they've got all these professional writers for films and TV shows coming in. They invest millions in a performance center. How the fuck are they not getting their performers to learn how to write or learn how to produce? This is the thing that boggles my mind all the time. It's like the best people to write for wrestlers are wrestlers. Yeah. And you have all this time and investment where you can train them on how to write. You've got a lot of wrestlers who will sit in the back, not do anything, twiddling their thumbs.
That's a liability. Because if they make them really good at writing and producing wrestling and they choose not to stay in the WWE, well, wouldn't that be detrimental to WWE to do that? If they trained all these really good creative minds for wrestling and then they went elsewhere, well, that could end up not being good for them.
True. But dare say they're spending more money on writers that are just going to write something that Vince is going to rip up and not use than they are with the talents that are sitting in the performance center training day by day. You know, like give them the tools. I mean, it might not. You know what? 9 out of 5, half the time you might find someone moves on to another company, but that other half, that's going to be your team for the long term. That's going to build up your company. You need to make these calculated risks where, right, you might lose one or two. They might look at greener pastures elsewhere for TV, other wrestling companies, films and whatnot. But the people that you keep in their system is the one that's going to grow your company longer. These writers that are coming in right now, they'll come and go. They'll look at it and go, this is rubbish. I'm going to go get a better job and do something else. Like if you build a group of writers and producers who are passionate about the company, the people that they're working with, who know the people that they're working with really well, know the ins and outs, know what makes people look good, rather than just saying, this is your story, this is it. It's like, I know you, I know what makes you look good, I know what makes this work. Those people will, in the long term, make your company so much better than what it is. And you're saving yourself money on that as well. You're not going to spend that money on writers because you've already spent money on talents coming in. And you don't necessarily have to have people come in only for that. You talk about wrestlers go out of the way. You could train wrestlers who are on the roster right now to do this. There's so many rosters. If you, not just now because we're in Thunderdome, But if you're on tour with Raw or SmackDown, there's a bunch of wrestlers sitting backstage doing absolutely nothing. They're doing hee-haw until the next live event rather than a live SmackDown or Raw. Why are they not being pushed towards these jobs, these writing roles and producing roles where you get the best out of people? You get the absolute best out of them. You'll get people who are being used. They're not being wasted. They're not going to be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not doing anything this week, so I don't want to be here anymore. Whereas if you make them involved, if you make them a part of the process, they're more likely to stay. They're more likely to invest their time. They're more likely to make things work for you. Like, cultivate your talent. I say it every week on SmackDown. Cultivate your talent. Make the most out of them. And it's not just putting them on screen. That's put them in the back room. That's put them in the production rooms. That's put them in those writers' meetings where you can say, hey, that's not working. I know this. Why don't we do this instead? Or write something out. Like, spend that time, because at the end of the day, it's not working and they've got the tools to make it work. It makes no sense how they can have so much investment in a performance center and so many new talents coming up. Not just wrestlers, but managers, like people who've got really good minds of the business, people who have come in from years of experience as a wrestler. They're not making the most of them. And it blows my mind. Start using them, start investing that. So when you've got your writers who aren't here, the ones that are going to go away, the ones that you train up now and get the best out of them are going to stay for years, and they'll probably bring out your best TV content forever. Vince Russo was part of the magazine team, and he was a big proponent of the Attitude Era. I mean, there's evidence to prove that this happens and it works. So get back on it. Do that. That's always my big hang up. There's more that they can do in that performance center than just train wrestlers and hand them a script. Like, don't just do promo classes. Do acting classes. Do drama workshops with them and build up their skill set, because that will work in a long time. And I could go for days about this. I'm gonna stop it now.
No, you're right. It comes down to building a better culture, and it doesn't cost them financially any more dollars than what they're already spending. And especially when guys either aren't on TV yet or they're injured, even just having them shadow some of these people and having a better understanding of the why. I mean, it's going to enhance their performances too if they get a chance to sit in the writer's room. I would say, okay, this is the reasoning why they're booking these certain angles this way, and talking it through. And then when you finally are back on the roster again, you have a better understanding of what the writers and producers are looking for as far as the performance. So I think there's a lot to that. Very well said.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got so many people who could be main event talent that aren't. But when they know how to be a main event talent, when they are, they'll make you millions.
Right.
Make you the big bucks. You don't have to try because it's already done. They'll do it for you.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I don't know. Speaking of speaking, Raquel Gonzalez was backstage and she was speaking about Rhea Ripley, and she isn't happy. At least that's what her word said. I don't know if necessarily the emotion came across, but the words that she said made it seem like she was unhappy with Rhea Ripley, who overheard Raquel, and they had a kerfuffle backstage that was separated, and that was pretty much it. What did y'all think of this little segment here?
I'm telling you, I love Raquel Gonzalez.
Yep.
I think she is legit, man. I think she is she's everything. I gotta be real careful what I say here. She's everything they wanted from Nia Jax. Okay. I think she's gonna be so much better. And I wouldn't be surprised if she continues to build her physique and get stronger. Look fit. I mean, she looks great. She's a big, imposing, gorgeous, attractive, sexy woman, okay? But she looks like she will kill you. And I believe her. I believe her. She looks in the ring. Like I'm actually watching her promo right. I'm actually just watching her promo on the screen right now. And just the intensity in her eyes and the way she grits her teeth when she's talking. I'm watching her right now. This girl she's the real deal. And I've seen her in the ring. She's only going to get better if she can keep herself not injured, because people that are usually bigger get a lot of injuries. Man, dude, I think that girl's gonna go to the moon and back, dude. Rhea Ripley too. Just when you see them face to face, it's like King Kong versus Godzilla. You know, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love this woman, man. I think she's gonna be. I mean, Rhea Ripley. I said Rhea Ripley, right? She is gonna be something so special, man. And I think this pay-per-view, Halloween Havoc, is gonna be her coming out party, for real, gentlemen.
You heard it here first. Big Ray saying. James, what did you think about this little segment?
I enjoyed it. I mean, the promo was whatever it was. I've had my rant about promo, so we'll go on about that. But what I really enjoyed about this is, as you say, Ray hit this on the head, spot on. Put them inside facing each other, and it's fireworks. I don't know much about Gonzalez, but I got so excited about this when I saw them in this segment. Like, I want to see that. I want to see that fight happen. It's not just a wrestling storyline as such, where it's just like, oh, this happened, there's promo. It's like, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to have you. Let's get it going. That's all I need. And those two having a big break apart brawl as well. They didn't brawl as such, but you could tell that they were really wanting to get at it. That works for me. I'm an MMA fan. I like fighters who want to get at it. So that's enough for me. Plenty of excitement. I think you could have, how long we got? Another week. We've got one more NXT before Halloween Havoc.
One more, yeah. I think so.
I'd love, do you remember way back at the beginning of NXT when you had Baron Corbin and it was a Big E that had the whole gimmick going on at the very beginning where they had to have the quickest match. They just got like a developmental hunt.
I started watching NXT a few months ago, and that's about the extent of what I know.
but what they used to do is, it was like for a good couple of months, they had this thing where like they would have a match and they would absolutely smash like a developmental talent or someone who was like a name. Right. And it got to the point where like the fans were cheering, counting the time down for the fight, how long it was going on for. I'd almost like to see something like this happen between Ripley and Gonzalez next week, where they have a match and one just absolutely smashes like, I don't know, Aaliyah. Sorry, Hen, but business got to be done. But like, absolutely smash her in like 20 seconds. And then Gonzalez comes out and then smashes them in about 15 seconds, you know, and just get really, oh, these two are really tough and brutal. So when they get in the ring, it's like Goldberg, Lesnar, the right way. You get excited. These two are just going to cause
these two do not need to be going 15 to 20 minutes in the ring. So that's my only hope, is that when they do finally have this match of Halloween Havoc, they don't try to make it a quote unquote classic and give them a long drawn out match, because that's just going to be a quick way to undermine both of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, just make it a scrap. Just make it an entertaining scrap, and everyone will go home happy with it.
Yeah. Just a few, power moves, boom, bang, bing. I mean, honestly, less than 5 minutes, and it can still be one of those moments where it's just like, the awe of it, just more like, whoa, that was intense. I mean, like you said, the Lesnar Goldberg stuff, that was great, but none of it was overly long. It was just intense and to the point. So hopefully that's what they end up doing with these ladies. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again, because I'm not going to lie, when I watched it the first time around, and maybe it's just over years of just getting yelled at by Al Snow, anytime I thought I could a good promo, I'd get to the back and it was never good enough. And so maybe that's always in the back of my head. So maybe that's my own bias. But my first go around with this, I didn't necessarily feel the emotion, but I'll watch it again, because both of you all are making good points here. And, maybe it was just my own personal bias that held me back. But either way, I think there's a lot of potential for both these women. And I think there's definitely a money matchup. And so I'm excited to see what they do come Halloween Havoc just here in a couple weeks. But I will say, what a promo that I was absolutely happy with, even though it was really only a couple words, was what we saw next with Tommaso in the back, seeing his match with KUSHIDA the previous week, where Velveteen Dream interfered. And Tommaso, what did he say exactly? He said,
he's dead.
He's dead. That was it. That's all he needed. That's all he needed. Wonderful. I'm interested in this match. Bravo. It was all of 20-30 seconds. He said he's dead. Excellent. I thought that was great. I guess I should have let you all answer first before I put it over. What did you all think of this little?
Same.
Yeah.
Simple to the point. Did the job. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes NXT overbooks things. And I think this is a case where Tommaso Ciampa is one of those talents that has the say in what he says and what he does. And he probably said, less is more. Show, don't tell, blah, blah, blah. We keep saying the same thing every year. It's not corny. He just said what it was. And it just hit the point. And that's all you need, man, sometimes. A promo doesn't need to be a long sit down, a 10-minute banter back and forth between two people. A promo, back in the day, you know what I used to love, guys? Back when I used to watch the Superstars of Wrestling on Saturday mornings, right? WWF. They used to have the little pop-up box where you would have the model Rick Martel, putting over the fact that he's going to spray you with his gimmick, Wait, that didn't sound right. But you know what I mean? Or the Junkyard Dog would jump on, and tell the King Harley Race how he's going to be the next king and be. Those promos were 30 seconds long, did the job. So I don't know, man. I would love the WWE to do that with NXT. And like while the match is going on, instead of having a stupid commercial while I'm missing half the match, have a pop-up box and have some promos being put up. I would love it, man. I thought this was great. This is one of my favorite segments of the show, believe it or not. So yeah, I agree.
I would say I wouldn't mind those as long as the talent in the ring are informed and they can work towards a spot where they can do that, because nothing worse than you have a moment in your match that is really like an integral part of the match and the storytelling, but it gets blocked out by either a commercial or a vignette or promo or something like that. But I do think in theory, if done properly, it could absolutely work. Speaking of working, these next two girls worked very hard. We had more in-ring action as we were trying to determine the number one contender for Io Shirai's Women's Championship, with Candice LeRae and Shotzi Blackheart going about 15 minutes here. What'd you guys think of this match between these ladies?
It's great. Well, I thought it was a great match. This is the match of the night by far. I they put on a great show for us for that there. I'm really enjoying this heel Candice LeRae. I would never expected anything like this from her. Like her mannerisms and how she can be more of a heel in the ring. It was great. I mean, I think there's a wee bit more excitement in it as well because of the Gargano way storyline that's going on just now. And then Shotzi Blackheart hosting Halloween Havoc. So anything could have happened. Absolutely anything could have happened. And it was fun. It was just a fun wee match to watch for 20 minutes or so. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to have all the bells and whistles of a title match and things like that to be good. It was just, overall, I just want to say it was just entertaining. That was all it. And I think they just timed all the right things at the right moments. They tired out quite a bit towards the end, but I can live with that. Anything like that can happen with anyone. But no, great match all in all.
Right.
The match was cool. Candice LeRae is a superstar, dude. She's awesome. She's so good. She's such a good heel, man. I like her. I like Shotzi Blackheart, man. Again, I can see why, guys, and geeks and those, Chesters love this woman out there. I can't get over her glow gimmick. And when I say glow gimmick, for me, the whole it's cringy for me. It's cringe. Aiden says it all the time when we're watching certain things in wrestling and stuff. He'd be like, "Oh, Dad, that's so cringe." I guess that's the thing the kids are saying nowadays. But yeah, dude, like I can't get over her. It's cheesy to me, that character. I think that character needs to go a more serious. I mean, not serious, maybe a little darker. I don't know, dude. Like the whole howling at the moon thing doesn't do it for me. I don't think it'll get over on the main roster. And I'm gonna give you an example. What was the young lady? I can't remember her name now. That she used to walk around with the stupid dance and pop bubbles.
Emma. Dashwood.
Right. Yes. So Emma, that was a cute little thing for NXT. It got over with that small crowd because NXT is supposed to be an indie. That's what it's supposed to be. And gimmicks like what Shotzi Blackheart does is an indie gimmick, in my humble opinion. Okay. Same thing with Adam Rose. Fantastic on the indies. That would sell so much merch and money, and he would do so well on the indies with that thing, back in the day. But the minute that you go to a mainstream audience, like people that are watching this green-haired, gorgeous girl, fantastic worker, howling at the moon and cutting terrible promos because she's not. I don't think she's that good. Cutting. There was something she did at the end of the show that I just wanted to throw my shoe at the TV. But just my opinion, Ted. I really am interested to hear what you feel about what I thought. Again, this match, fantastic. Both girls can work. That Shotzi Blackheart gimmick is, I don't know, man. It's not doing it for me. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. As I'll say first, as far as the match itself, these girls killed it, put a lot of time. I'm always going to say, I won't get off on a soapbox this time because I've already done it earlier in this review, but anytime you bury moves with these false finishes that are ridiculous, I'm not a fan of. Not to say you can't have near falls. There's a clear difference between a false finish and a near fall. False finish doesn't involve burying a move. It involves a quick roll up where something gets dodged or evaded, and then you think, oh shit, that's going to be the win, and then they kick out. That's okay versus hitting a big maneuver and then they kick out. Well, that doesn't do business for anybody. If anything, it makes everyone else on the roster have to continue to keep working harder and harder and harder and harder. And we're seeing kind of this era of wrestling where people are doing these higher and higher risk moves, and more people are getting hurt because of them. But that's my soapbox. I said I wasn't going to go to soapbox, and I got one anyway.
It's like they push you onto the soapbox.
Yeah, I know. I can't help it. They drive me crazy. They know I'm going to review, and then they do it purposefully.
They do it on purpose. They know they're doing it just to piss you off, Ted. By the way, you dress really cool. I like your bow ties. I like the shirts that you wear. I like that. What is that? Velvet?
What, the tie?
No, the shirt. I like the shirt.
No, it's just regular shirt.
Is it? It looks like
I appreciate that though. Maybe the tie gives it a little more of a glow. Maybe
it's nice, man. Anyway,
I appreciate that.
I'm hitting on Ted here.
As far as Shotzi goes, I guess my counterpoint to this, because you may very well be correct about, sometimes on a small scale, a gimmick can work amazingly, and then on the large national or international scale, it just doesn't quite translate. My challenge to the Shotzi Blackheart, I guess, whether or not she's going to be able to get over on the main roster is, well, one, right now, obviously with the crowds, it's going to be hard anyway, but let's say there were crowds, or they're not going to bring her up until we have crowds again. What do you feel though about her doing that, and how the kids will react to her in that gimmick? I only say that because I almost feel like her doing the Hal thing, as much as adults hate it, that the kids are going to absolutely eat it up and do it right back and love it. And it could end up being kind of a John Cena type situation where, the grown adults are kind of like, okay, this is cheesy, but the kids and the families are into it. Do you think that's a possibility?
It feels like it. It feels like it's for the kids. That's the impression I get from this whole Shotzi Blackheart thing, the whole Halloween Havoc, having this pay-per-view hosted by Shotzi. It just feels like it's for the kids. It's not for us. I say that sometimes in SmackDown. It's like, it's not for us. It's not for the fans. It's not for the grown-ups. It's for the kids. And that's fine. I don't mind that. But I think Bray's got a point where it's like, over time, this is great for the kids, but then if you put this in front of a big crowd, if it doesn't get responded to well by the grown-ups, by older fans, that translates on TV. So it's great when the kids are there, but when you're watching on TV and the kids see someone not getting a great reaction or getting booed, they'll get put off by it. That's the day and age we live in, unfortunately. We can't always make decisions for ourselves because of how things are shown on media. All information comes from a screen. It goes from the things we watch on TV and look at on the internet. So when you see someone not getting as big a response as you would have hoped, you just get turned off by them a little bit. So there is the gamble in that. I think it's fully intended for what you say, Ted, is fully intended for the kids. This felt like a main roster thing for me, where it's like, I could see her on a Raw, on a SmackDown. Can you imagine her on a live tour with Raw doing this stuff and all the kids there? Great. This is great money for them. T-shirt sales, hat sales, man. They'll sell the hats without a doubt. So those little things will add up. But as Ray says, over time, it might be diminishing returns unless they can switch it up as a run. Like Bayley is a great example of this. Bayley started off as a character who was for the kids. And as it went, it didn't stick. And it was the fans that, I'm not going to say this fans spoiled it, but they gravitated to it in NXT. The kids came over, but they didn't stick around because kids grow up. Right. Kids grow up as they go through that. And she didn't change with the kids. And it took her to turn heel to fix that. I don't want that to happen with Shotzi. We want her to kind of have this character where the kids grow up. Hulk Hogan's the prime example. It didn't have to change because for whatever reason, you just had it and it worked perfectly. Unless you're a main event, you got to work a bit harder.
Well, let's be fair, though. He did change eventually when he jumped to WCW and became Hollywood Hogan. And that's an example of changing with the times, though, and the people that all grew up as a kid watching Hulk Hogan. And now he's the Hollywood Hogan and more, kind of cutting edge and risque, I guess, to a degree. But, it worked because it was the right timing with it. And so it will be interesting to see if over time she'll continue to adapt and evolve as a character as things go forward.
Yeah. If she can have more substance to what she is when she moves up to the main roster, it'll work great. But if they just rest on their laurels, it'll just go the way of Bayley and they'll just have to make a rash decision and turn her heel, which doesn't always work for everyone, unfortunately.
True. And certainly time will tell. She's no doubt has a lot of talent, but I'm inclined to agree. I feel from a character standpoint, even though she's certainly got a lot of charisma, we still has a hard time really grasping who she is as the character and a person, other than she's a lady with green hair that rides a tank and howls a lot. But that doesn't really define a character. Those are lots of great whats that are interesting. Those are awesome whats, but it's the why behind you're doing these things that really make people endeared to you as a performer and a character. And so I think she still needs to find that why she does the things that she does, if she really wants to find, how to get over with the audience. But speaking of trying to get over with the audience, we went backstage and we have the budding tag team of Drake Maverick and Killian Dane trying to get over. Drake Maverick tried to work on, some marketing. They have, shiny outfit ideas, drawings, a team name of the Furry and the Fury. And Drake claimed to be the Fury. And then Killian Dane said, well, what's that make me? And that was kind of an awkward situation. But anyway, this was a little backstage vignette between the two. What did y'all think of this little tag team situation?
What did I tell you last week? Anything that Rockstar Spud does, aka Drake Maverick, is perfect. So fun, so funny. Dude, I love Killian Dane as the straight guy because in his seriousness, there's humor.
As a serious guy.
As a serious guy, it's hilarious.
You're not saying that Drake Maverick's the gay one and Killian Dane's the straight one. You're saying he's the more stoic character.
The more stoic character. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly. Sorry, I have to be very clear because I was talking about James Mike most of the show, but neither here nor there. No, dude, like a fantastic, like it just works so well, man. Killian Dane is doing some really good character work, and he doesn't have to do much. Like I could see Killian Dane being annoyed with this little guy trying to put over all this silly merchandise. Killian Dane just wants to go out and beat people up. He wants to hurt people. That's all he wants. And Drake Maverick wants a friendship. He wants Killian to be his best bud. He wants to make some money with this guy. And it's just funny, man. Everything that he does, it's just perfect, man. I see no wrong when it comes to our friend Drake Maverick.
Absolutely. James, what do you think here?
I totally agree. I had a good chuckle at this. I thought it was fantastic what they were pulling out with this. Like, I will say for WWE, there's one thing that they can do really well, and that's an odd couple. Yes. I don't know how they do it, but they do a really good odd couple pairing in WWE. And if there's anyone who could do it exceptionally well, it's Drake Maverick. He showed it in these days in Impact as well. I just had a good giggle at this, and that's all that counts. I thought it was really good. And I think later, as it went on, the segment after this with them, it brought them together really well as well. They just seem to do really well with this. And I think Drake Maverick's the perfect person for this. The Furry and the Fury was just, I was pissing myself. It was just how he done it. It's how he sells it as well. It was just like, I'm the Fury. He was like doing Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just doing all this movement. And then and you're the, well, yeah, you don't want to tell him that because you know what's going to happen. But those little comic touches, I can appreciate it. He does it so well. And it's British wrestling as well. That's little old British wrestling, the British humor that Drake Maverick brings to it that works so well. And I think that's why it translates great for everyone.
Well, I am a big fan of British humor in general. I'll say Monty Python is one of my favorite, British comedy troupes of all time. And, I'm very endeared to the British culture. So, and obviously I'm biased because I worked with Spud for a number of years here at OVW, but he's a great talent and this absolutely worked. And one thing that I read recently that explains why these odd couple situations work. And in general, you do see it a lot, even in movies and television, because I always try to expand my repertoire. So I was reading up on story tropes. And one thing that really works is when you have emotion and stoicism at the same time. And that's basically emotion, someone that's, over the top character, and then you have your stoic flat character. And whether you're setting them up as an odd couple or setting it up as good versus bad, because you see it in different ways there too, it works a lot of the time. If you can find ways to combine an emotional character with a stoic character, it doesn't matter who's facing heel. You can do the opposite too. You can have a heel that's ridiculous. And then the baby face is like, oh, what's his problem? You know what I mean? And that's whatever. So it's nice to see them being able to play it up at such a level that really they can go anywhere with this as far as, building them up as a team. And this is great. And as we saw later, their little story continued, but we weren't ready to go there yet. We had more in-ring action as the woman from the land down under makes her return to NXT, Toni Storm.
Oh yeah.
A match against Aaliyah here. It wasn't a very long match. They had about 2.5 minutes, but Toni Storm makes a successful return to NXT, gaining the victory over Aaliyah. Ray, you sounded very excited here. What did you think of this?
What I think of this, Tony Cakes can do no wrong. I told you that. She looked great. She looked great, man. She looked great. She looked I don't know, man. She looked like I don't know. Maybe it's just me. She looked like she didn't lose a step in the ring. They really like. All right, so let's compare. Okay, let's compare the comeback from Sailor Moon, whatever her name is. Sailor Moon, isn't that like a Japanese anime cartoon from back in the day?
Ember Moon, you mean?
Ember Moon and Toni Storm, who comes out and does the business. Like, she doesn't need to cut these terrible promos. She doesn't need that. She doesn't need a sit-down interview putting over other talent. She went in the ring and she was a star. And fantastic, by the way.
I will say, speaking of being a star, apparently you're a star here as well, Big Ray. Fudge20 from Twitch here in the chat room on YouTube said he's had to throw in a shout out to Big Ray. Always awesome to see you back, big dog. Keep up the awesome work. So
thank you, my brother. Thank you.
So you were a fan of this match, though. You felt it was a good comeback match for Toni.
Bro, Toni is awesome, man. Seriously. She is her everything between her look. Like that, see, like she has a little bit of that punk thing going on, but it's not so over the top, you know. Like she can change it up a little here, a little there, and not be the same generic person. Like I said last week, we weren't fans of her promo, you know, with the floating head promo that they're calling it, you know, because all you saw was her face and stuff. But dude, what she did in the ring was perfect. Yeah, I was a fan of this match. Nothing, and a fan of what she wears in the ring, by the way.
James, what did you think of Miss Storm here?
Oh, she was great. I did find it weird how they kept saying she was an acquisition, though. I'm pretty sure we did see it a lot in NXT before she went away. So it seemed really odd. They were like, this is a huge acquisition. We got her in. It's like, she wasn't. So what's the problem? Where did she go? Which I quite like, but apart from that, star performance. What I will say, this one's for the dads here. That camera work. That's we know what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing with that camera work. So, but it was
well produced as well, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'll say that this was effective. It was short and to the point. The one thing I'll say, and this is really to all wrestlers, and you don't know until you know, if someone is in a kneeling position, you never, ever want them to take a bump backwards where they're on their knees, because it is a quick way to overstretch the quad and you can quickly rupture your quad tendon. Now, fortunately, Aaliyah, I think Toni Storm did it to Aaliyah. She's young and obviously probably very flexible. Oh, that's okay. But you're not always going to be as flexible as you continue to age. And it only takes one time to blow out a quad tendon, and then you're off the shelf for several months. So small thing. And I've seen plenty of wrestlers do it and they end up okay. But again, it's one of those ones where the juice is not worth the squeeze wrestling move wise. So let just be a lesson to all your wrestlers. If someone is on their knees in the ring, do not bump them backwards. You can bump them forward. That's okay. Don't bump them backwards. Protect their legs and continue to wrestle injury free. But that being said, I thought this was effective to bring back Toni Storm. This is actually the first time I've ever seen her, and I thought she looked very good here. And excited to see where she goes from this point. And to your point, Ray, this was a sharp contrast from how they brought in Ember Moon. I feel like Toni Storm, she's a lot, she brings that excitement and energy to it, whereas Ember Moon, I feel like Toni Storm knows who she is. I don't feel like Ember Moon knows who she is, and I think that really is one of the biggest things likely that is contributing to the contrast between the two.
Exactly.
But, speaking of having a contrast, there was a difference of opinion, it seemed like, when William Regal was backstage, seemed to be unhappy with the results of the Candice LeRae and Shotzi Blackheart match, which we saw Candice LeRae use a brass knucks from Eddie Hartwell to get the win. But that being said, it looks like we had Zia Lee come up with, his name was Boa, and says that she needs to compete next week. And she was very insistent. No, I need to compete. And William Regal just said he'll take it under consideration. And once again, Zia Lee wanted to stress this is important. She needs to compete next week.
Remember what I told you last week?
What's that?
That I feel that it's the government or people that are paying to make sure that she succeeds in NXT and doesn't besmirch the name of whoever, you know, her bosses are. I really, James, I was just telling Ted that last week we're talking about the what's her name again?
Zia Lee.
Zia Lee.
Yes.
Last week I said that I feel like the Chinese government You know, or they're not going to say it's the Chinese government,
right?
But they're gonna put over like a mob boss or something like that.
Yeah, someone that she's working for, maybe a sponsor.
You know exactly what you're on about. Yeah.
And I told you last week that she's gonna be desperate to make up for what she did this week, and she did. And that I felt vindicated, and I hope that's where they're going. I hope they're going with Yakuza. Yeah. You know, but that's Japanese. Is she Chinese or Japanese?
I believe Chinese.
She's Chinese. Okay. So I don't know what the Chinese mafia is, but they're pretty badass too. So
yeah, she's Chinese.
Big shout out to the Ghost Shadows in Chinatown. Love you guys. If you don't know what that is, Google them. But yeah, man, I think that's where they're going.
In China, it's the triad.
Okay, boom. We can do something with that, man. We could do something with that, man. And I know I sound overly excited about it, but I'm telling you, dude. Yeah. I think that's where they're going, and I think it's going to be a life and death situation. Like she seemed very scared, and she did it well.
Yeah,
I think she did a good job. I think she did a good job at showing that she's like, please, like I really need this match, like please. And I think Regal kind of caught on to it the second time around. The first time it's like, you know, I'll consider it, you know. But then the second time, it'll be under my consideration, you know. And I think he got it. So I think she'll get a match next week, or else, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah. What do you think there, James?
Yeah, I thought it was really intriguing how she came about this. There's a little bit of me that wants to see this turn into like a Swerve of some kind, where she's in this moment of desperation. As soon as the opportunity appears itself, she'll just turn into a total gangster and beast through someone or something like that. Because like you guys talked about it last week. If you see her stuff on Twitter, like her training videos and things like that, she's a wee machine. She's an absolute machine. And it's amazed me how they've not yet managed to translate that onto TV yet, how they've turned her into a personality where she could use her martial arts skills, use her sort of endurance and strength, because she'd be great for it. She's got a great look, great characterization. This might be the thing she needs, just something a little bit different, just to kind of get her out there a little bit more, because you guys mentioned it before. She's been used mainly as enhancement just now, and it's a bit unfair to her. Although the people she's been enhancing is great, it's been great for them. But I think now it's her turn to get a little bit more steam behind her, get a little bit more effort. So I think this little thing's quite nice. I quite like the guy behind her who didn't say anything and just looked and just nodded. Just looked and nodded.
That's all you got to do sometimes, brother.
Yeah. It's like, that's the guy. It's like, don't tell anyone, but this person behind me he's going to do something really bad. Like, you got to help me out here. I'm going to do something really bad if you don't do something for it. It was that fight.
Yeah, it was show don't tell at its finest. And so yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. And this is a perfect example of it is okay to not necessarily be just racking up wins, because this is now a defining moment for her character, and something to where she can now transition from being used more in a utility role, is what I would say, into more of being the star of the story. And that's where so many wrestlers are caught up in the wins and losses of it all. And it truly doesn't matter. As long as you're able to find a way to get your character over, that's what matters. And despite the fact that she hasn't been racking up wins here, now we have a character defining moment for her it's became very significant in just 2 weeks. Now it seems like the pressure's on for her, and we still don't really fully understand why, but as a viewer, I can't help but be intrigued as to wanting to see how this plays out. And so very well done. And I'm excited to see where this goes. And as we talked earlier, more guys that I'm excited to see where they go. Drake Maverick and Killian Dane finally have their match. They face Imperium. It wasn't much of a match, about 4 minutes, not even that. Imperium ended up getting the win, and Everrise shows up and tries to bully Drake, but Killian Dane comes back and says, "Nobody hits you but me," and takes him out. So that's, like I said, not much of a match, but still a segment here that did some business. What did you guys think of this piece of business?
This was the moment it twigged. This is the moment I realized this is Nelson Muntz and Martin Prince in Shelbyville, Simpsons. It was just like, This is happened. This is when the odd couple really happened, and it clicked. I was like, this is brilliant. I love the little things you didn't really mention. Was like at the beginning when they come out, and
the music.
And Drake's got this whole dance routine planned, and And Dane was not having any of it. He was like, no, turn it off right now. We're not doing any of this. Get in the ring. Just get in the ring and behave yourself. I loved that. I just loved it so much. How those little things, because you know it won't happen now, but over time it's gonna just happen, and it's just gonna be. And it's just those little wee teases. The planting of the seed of this coming together was lovely, and you can see it in how they work the matches, where like something happened to Killian Dane. He's out the ring, and then you can see how it affected Spud. He was just like, oh, what's going on? And then that's what came to the end of the match. And then was it Everrise? Is that the name of the tag team?
Everrise is the one that came out afterwards, after the Imperium.
Yeah, they looked like a knockoff Young Bucks for my liking, but that's another conversation for another time. But they come out and bully Drake for a while, and then Killian Dane comes out and says, "Yep, no one beats him up but me. Get up the ring, get up the ramp, go home. I've had enough of you." I loved that. I just loved that little dynamic, and over time, you're going to see that form a little bit more. As I say, WWE do odd couples really well. You could probably go back to the Hell No days, groups like that. The blueprints there, and they'll likely use it. Those little touches were great. Even when they were going back up, Drake wanted to do that dance again, even though they lost the match.
Right.
Like, we're going to dance. We're going to get it over. We're going to get the marketing done. So I can't wait to see how this develops. I can't wait to see. I'd like to see him in a match Halloween Havoc. The one of the things that I thought initially was these two are going to be the tag team champions
eventually, but it should be a long time before that happens, in my opinion, because it's going to mean so much if they build it up correctly. If they keep going down this path, and there's a lot they could do with it. Now, if they shotgun it and put the titles on them in the next 2 months, not saying it won't be a good moment, but it's still going to fall way short of what it could have been. So my only hope is they draw out this relationship as far as they can before they finally give them the titles.
Yeah. Do you reckon they can keep this going until they can get a crowd in an arena? Because you imagine the pop if they won the title with a crowd there.
Correct.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask. But if they pulled it off, how great would that be for both of them?
Absolutely.
How mega that would be. And it's the kind of storyline that asks for it. So I don't know if that's in the back of their mind, but if they can keep it ticking just long enough, if not, even if they can make it to like a big 4 pay-per-view like the Rumble or...
I mean, I guess it really comes down to how soon can we get people back. I feel like if I was writing, I feel like I could draw this out on a weekly basis for about a year. After that, it's going to start getting stale. They're going to need to do something at that point. So I'd say maybe up to a year, and then at that point, you gotta pull that trigger. And even then, within that time frame, because there's some times where you might plan it out a certain way, but the crowd starts reacting in a certain way more positively, and you realize, okay, now is the time to do it. And that's where it's hard to do, especially in a corporate entity like WWE. I'm sure, when they plan certain things out, it's like, this is just the way it's got to be. We've had this plan for months and we're going with it. But you have to be willing to, what's the word? I guess relinquish or give up your deeply held ideas sometimes when organically the business is here. This is one of those situations where I would just continue to build it and build it and build it. And then finally, when it seems like it's reaching that crescendo of, okay, something's got to happen there, that's when you finally give them the tag titles and have that moment. Yeah. But it'll remain to be seen how long it'll be before they do. But I definitely think they should do it sooner than later. I think if it happens this year, it's going to be too soon. I think it needs to happen sometime in 2021.
And I also think they can, to extend the storyline between these two, and eventually they can switch roles. Now you say, what are you talking about, Ray? Switch roles, where you have Drake Maverick play the serious, everything starts going to his head. They become the tag team champion, they become the tag team champions. Then maybe he starts to verbally abuse Killian Dane here and there. And Killian Dane starts to doubt himself after they, almost lose a match here and there. And Killian Dane can potentially become that big, lovable, character, you can go so many different ways. This is definitely Team Hell No 2.0. That's what this is right now. And we ended up loving both Kane and we ended up loving Daniel Bryan. And it was over when they were hugging, when Kane finally hugged Daniel Bryan. As stupid as it may sound, people loved it because it was a slow build. All the little vignettes. Remember the whole movie gimmick where they were copying. I forgot the movie. I'll Have What She's Having, and they're doing no, yes,
Oh man,
no.
Harry Met Sally.
Yes, Harry Met Sally. When they did, like little things like that, man, you could do so much with these two. But I'm sorry, you wanted to say something, Doc?
I was just going to say, I mean, you could even work into something like, say, they get close to the tag team titles and then end up not doing it, and then Killian Dane says, "Well, we should just split ways." But then they both can't quite get it without each other. You know, they go through wrong partners and it just doesn't work. And then you can play that game out for a while, and then finally they come back together. Then that's the big moment that I feel like that's when you give them the titles, and then it's all's right in the world at that point.
I can see Killian Dane. They're in his apartment. His apartment's a wreck. He's got pizza boxes everywhere, and he doesn't understand why he's so down and depressed. But he realized, you know, and then Drake comes in, like Drake knocks on the door, and there's that moment where Drake's like looking around like, what the hell's going on? Or you can do vice versa, have Drake be all depressed and stuff like that. It'll work both ways, man. But I would like to do something different. Have Killian be the one who's going through the emotional, you know, separation anxiety, the depression, you know, like, and he doesn't get it. He's a monster. He's crazy. He doesn't understand why he misses what he's missing. He doesn't understand what he's missing until knock, knock, knock. Drake Maverick opens the door and he's like, I miss you. I miss you too, bud. You know, that type of thing. They don't have to say that exactly. And dude, I mean, so much money on the table with these two guys. So much money. I really hope WWE doesn't mess this up. And I know they will.
Yeah, especially if it goes up. I would love if it gets so over to the point, goes to the main roster, and then you have that WrestleMania cameo where you know they're crazy backstage or something, and then the camera pans to Daniel Bryan and Kane, and they're like, "What weirdos?"
Yeah. Oh, no. Or I hate to be Mr. Fantasy Booker here, but you could even potentially get Drake's wife involved, and I'll tell you how. And she could be the heel, the whole heel of this thing. Okay. Oh. How she is manipulating Drake, how she is using Drake, and you know, Killian is like she's or how she's taking up all his time, you know. This could be during the title run. If I would
say that's the time when they win the titles. All of a sudden, his wife appears and says, "This is great." And, you know, finally she gives Drake the time of day because now he's making championship money, and she's like, "We're doing this XYZ," and you know, he's the star. You know, trying to make Drake the star, be like, "You just stand in the background." You know what I mean? And really, almost like the Yoko Ono of the team.
Yes, and you know what? Guess what, guys? We've booked a year.
Yeah.
Of this tag team in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
Absolutely. I was going to say the only other angle I would have went with it is you just had his wife just be the spanner in the works. Like, hey, you're nearly 40. You get your act together. Just like little things like that. Try to break them up. It's like, you're nearly 40. What are you doing? You're supposed to be winning championships. You're not supposed to be being little cartoon characters out yourself. Grow up. And just little things like that where you can boo her for that as well. Where it's just like, if it's not the Yoko Ono route, it's the other one. It's like, try to split them up just because it's like, come on, you should be grown up. You should be bigger than this. Like, look at you. You're Irish. You're 7 foot tall. You should be smashing people. What are you doing? Try to be a cartoon character.
There's nothing wrong with playing up both. You could bring her in beforehand and try to you know, say, forget it. You're playing around. This is stupid. But then when they win the titles, her demeanor changes because she's like, oh, this is great. You know, I've loved this the whole time. Yeah. Then that's even more of a heel because like, no, you're not, your bitch. You've been talking shit the whole time. And all of a sudden you know what I mean? And the viewer at home feels that way, but obviously the characters play appropriately. Drake can be apologetic. Oh, no, you know what I mean? So it's good stuff all around. So much potential here. And I you know, we have seen plenty of things not reach their potential, but this is something that I really, really hope does because they got something great, in my opinion. And guys, we're already here at the main event time. This review show has flown by with you guys. I have to say it's been my pleasure to talk with both of you all. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully we can have us three get together again in the near future. But either way, our near future is talking about the NXT North American Championship match. Damian Priest against Dexter Lumis. These guys had about 12 minutes back and forth action, but Cameron Grimes made an appearance at the end. Got the attack on Lumis that Damian Priest didn't see and allowed Damian Priest to hit the sit-out chokeslam for the win. What y'all think about this main event matchup here?
I feel like they could have done more for... Oh, you want to go first? You want me?
No, you could go first, please.
Yeah. I feel like they could have done more for Dexter Lumis in this match. I think it was a bit too 50-50 for my liking. The way he presents himself, the intensity, his characterisms and mannerisms, and the way the match ended just didn't quite match up for what we had going on. You know, I think Dexter Lumis could have controlled about 90% of this match, 80% of this match even, and it would have been great from there. But instead, we've got Damian Priest doing a majority of the offense, and it's great because he's the champ. I think we're going to present him as the top champ for a while Beller's out the door, but I think you could have made a bit more out of Dexter Lumis because he wasn't fully on top when Cameron Grimes got involved.
Yeah,
it felt like you do a bit more impact for everyone's sake. You know, you make Cameron Grimes look better because he stopped the match because Dexter Lumis was in control, but then you also make Dexter Lumis look good in losing. Ironically, we're talking about this with Austin Theory earlier, but you make him look good in losing because he didn't quite lose. You know, he was nearly there. He got taken from him. He's got impetus to go for Cameron Grimes a little bit more. Damian Priest gets away with it. But, I mean, you maybe don't want Damian Priest to have the sort of pseudo heel heat of it where he gets a cheap win. So I can kind of get it from that perspective. But I just think they just could have done more with Dexter Lumis. I mean, Damian Priest has got tons of great matches in him for years to come and for months to come. I mean, we've got Gargano coming up next. Did he really necessarily have to have a strong show in here tonight? Could we not have just given Dexter Lumis that one? Because he's on a great run. He's come back last week. He looked fantastic. He gets this match. I think you could have done more to showcase him a little bit. And then you could have the finish the same way. Just give Dexter more offense in the match for my liking.
All right. I'm glad you went first because I actually am going to disagree with you a little bit here. Where I agree with everything you said about Damian Priest. I think he's going to be top champ. He's got a ton of great matches, so on and so forth. But I saw what I've been seeing now for the last couple of weeks, a megastar.
Yeah,
in Dexter Lumis, man. I mean, this guy is it's crazy, man. The guy, he walks ever so stoically, doesn't even really move his arms. This guy looks like he will definitely bite your face off, right? But then you see him with those sweet kip ups. You know, you see him, you know, the way he moves in the ring, the way he bumps, the way he sells. Dude, this guy is great, man. And I agree the 50-50 booking wasn't maybe the best, but Dexter Lumis is in the ring with the North American champion. So you can see, and the champion is bigger. You know, he's a bigger man. So I can see how that works out. Like if you really logically breaking everything down, the Cameron Grimes thing, which I know you weren't a fan of, I kind of liked it because I think Cameron Grimes is grimy. He is a jerk. Yeah. He is just a piece of trash. And he did such a trashy thing, you know, where he just popped out. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it at all. He came out, did the big double stomp onto the hardest part of the ring, okay? And then I love his hat is still in the ring. He grabs the hat and puts it on and is laughing at the base of the ring. It's such a dirtbag thing to do. I loved it. I actually loved it. And I loved his face. I loved the way he sold it, the way he laughed about it. You know, the way it's like that kid getting away with the wrong, like knowing that he did the wrong thing. And Damian Priest had no idea. And what's going to happen is this is the business here is that it's going to continue with matches down the line because Damian Priest, it seems like he's a man of honor. He's a champion of honor. And he is not going to allow him to win the match that way. So we're going to see these guys again in the ring, maybe next week or maybe at the pay-per-view, whenever. Not the pay-per-view, or next week.
My guess would be because they're setting up Damian Priest with Gargano for the Halloween Havoc show. So my guess would be Lumis would probably have a match with Grimes at that show. Right.
And then as we continue to build, so I think Lumis, depending on what they want to do with Priest, I could see Lumis, them maybe hot potatoing that title between those two guys, and I wouldn't mind it. Like, I loved the match yesterday. I really enjoyed it. And, man, I'm telling you, if WWE does this the right way, this is going to be so great. This could be what Waylon Mercy should have been, which is, in my humble opinion, one of the biggest mistakes that WWE ever did. They did it again with Bray Wyatt, and it worked really well for a short period of time, but they didn't keep going down that dark path, and they changed it up too much, and it was garbage. But Dexter Lumis, man. You ever seen the TV show Dexter?
I've seen an episode.
because you know that's pretty much where they're basing his character off of. He's the serial killer, but he's the good guy. You know, that's what Dexter Lumis is, man. Oh, Siri thought I said Siri. No, I said serial killer. So anyway, look, I don't want to go on too long, but why don't you talk about what happened after the match, Doc, and we can close this out, I guess.
Yeah, and I think both of y'all make some fair points. Certainly, the booking could have been differently for both, but I do think the business of this match was more so for Damian Priest, more so than it was for Dexter Lumis. And sometimes that can happen when you're, okay, our focus is putting the spotlight on making Damian Priest look good. Now, they had a catalyst, and that was okay, and that's, I think, going to lead towards Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes, which I think can be great, and I think Dexter Lumis can get his quote-unquote heat back from this, or get back over from this match if, say, you know, if we have another week to the pay-per-view, I say next week, Dexter Lumis, he starts trying to look for Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is a weaselly, slimy little bastard and finds another way to jump Lumis again next week, and then it leads into their match. So at this point, Dexter Lumis hasn't gotten his hands on Cameron Grimes. They finally have the match. Cameron Grimes keeps ducking, weaving in and out of the ring, making it a point where he's not trying to make physical contact with Dexter Lumis. As soon as he gets an opportunity, he tries to jump Lumis, gets on him like a little rat bastard. He goes to town, goes to shoot him off. Dexter reverses, hits the big Uranagi, locks him into submission, and then Cameron Grimes, as like a fish out of water, it taps out immediately. And I think that's a quick way to still continue to build heat with Cameron Grimes, but as soon as Dexter Lumis has the opportunity to get his hands on him, takes him out right away, and then you've then established that Dexter Lumis is a force to be reckoned with, despite all the attacks from Cameron Grimes. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
No, man, it's good. I don't think any of us are wrong. I think they could have gone several different ways, and I think we're all right. But you know what? In retrospect, I think you're absolutely correct, Doc. That the business was for Damian Priest, but I do feel that Dexter Lumis's star is shining so bright, dude, that even though the business was for Damian Priest, man, ooh, I don't know, man. This guy Dexter, something about him, man. I'm telling you, I see T-shirts. I see, like we said last week, just his eyes, you know, on a T-shirt, you know, with the crazy, dude, so much, the mustache. Yeah. You know, if he really goes over. I was
talking about the gloves. He wears those black gloves. And you put a little eyeball in the middle of them and then just have him do this. You know.
Dude, what about kids walking around with Dexter Lumis mustaches? You know, as you can
buy
that.
That's
for $5, and you see all these little 5-year-old kids with the gloves and the big over the top mustache.
Awesome.
Oh, so much. So, dude, there's a lot I loved about this show. I'm so happy I get to review NXT and not AEW. That's real crap, man.
Well, sadly, it is coming to an end, Ray. We only got one last little segment here.
Okay, fine.
Really, it was the end of the match. Damian Priest got back into the ring, took out Cameron Grimes, and then we saw Johnny Gargano then hit Damian Priest with a chair and super kicked him. That wasn't enough. They super kicked the chair into him as they being Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae stand over Damian Priest. William Regal comes back and says Candice will face EO at Halloween Havoc, and Johnny will face Damian Priest as well, but the stakes are going to be higher as Shotzi Blackheart comes out with the Wheel of Doom as she howls and the wheel. Make a deal to close out this episode of NXT, guys.
Have you seen? Hold on. Can I say that was shite?
Shite.
Shite. Anyway, go ahead, please.
Hey, Did you see the list of matches that they've got on?
No, you told me, James, you have the list, right? You have the actual list. Is that true?
Yeah, I've got the list here. Oh, fuck me dead. Some of these matches, man. So I'll go in the list. I've got the list here. I'll tell you how I wrote them, right? We've got a TLS match. Don't know what that means. Probably something to do with ladders,
tables,
chairs,
ladders,
and steps.
Sandwiches? I'll go for that.
That'd be lovely. A trick or street fight, which is a street fight pretty much. Coal miner's glove and a pole. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know about your wrestling history, but the last person I saw use a coal miner's glove was Triple H, and he did it once, and that was it. Didn't use it after that. A buried alive match. A casket match. So someone's going to die, apparently. Biker chain match. A Chamber of Horrors match. Jesus. Boiler room brawl. A weapons wild match. Sounds a lot like a street fight. Blindfold match. The Devil's Playground, and the one that's 100% going to happen, Shotzi's choice.
No, yeah, that will for sure happen.
That's happening in the Candice LeRae match. I can put my money on it.
Right.
Jeez, some of these. See if this is for real. If this, I don't know if it's been faded or not, but see if you're for real and you see them spin that wheel and you're the wrestler, you're praying that blindfold match isn't happening. God, that'd be rough. A blindfold match with no crowd. It doesn't work.
Right. You're right. Yeah, without a crowd. I was gonna say blindfold matches are awesome, but yeah, you have to have a crowd. You have to have a crowd, otherwise it doesn't work. My guess is they'll probably put the guys in a casket match because it's Halloween Havoc, and that goes with the theme, and I think they could work a good match with that. It might just, I mean, I could totally see what's his name, Damian Priest choke slamming Johnny Gargano into the casket, boom, whatever. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess. But it's some interesting. I still want to know what a TLS match is.
The only thing I could think of was like, because they had the TLC match with Big Show and Rowan, wasn't it? Like tables, ladders, and chairs and stairs.
Oh, that's what it is. Tables, ladders, and stairs.
Ladders and stairs.
But no chairs.
But no chairs.
No chairs.
It's not spooky enough.
Yeah,
maybe they're terrifying.
Maybe it's tables, ladders, and screens, like the TV screens that they're using to have the crowd. And
tables, ladders, and scares.
That's it. That's the one. I was going to say table, ladders, and screams. Like we're going to have the scream from the films. Just coming up with the knife, the ladder match. But no, you're totally bang on with that. That's spot on.
I don't know how you would do that. It's having ghouls and goblins around. I don't know, but there you have it. Well, gentlemen, I have to say it's been my absolute pleasure sitting down with you all. So I guess how about this for the homework next week for those that are tuning in? Let's say what are the gimmick matches for Io and Candice? If it is Shotzi's choice, if you're going to do that, then you have to tell me as part of the homework what is Shotzi's choice, and then what match for the guys as far as what gimmick match at Halloween Havoc. So that is the homework for next week. You can send that into nextlevelwrestlingreview@gmail.com. Let us know what are the Halloween Havoc gimmick matches you think should happen between Io and Candice, as well as Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest. Gentlemen, before we conclude, though, I wanted to give you all an opportunity to plug whatever you like. What do you all have going on this coming week? Anything fun, exciting, cool?
You want to go first, James, or you want me to jump in?
Yeah, I'll go first because you're the best go last. So I'll
go
first.
No. Don't say that. That's not true. You're the best.
Yeah, you'll find me every Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning. I'm part of the Smack Attack podcast here on the Hacker Hammy Network. I'm doing it with Joe Atherton every week. We review SmackDown. We talk about the best of British wrestling. We've got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to talk about the draft, the SmackDown side of things. We're going to do a little bit of an assessment on what we think is going to happen, how it's going to go down the line. We're going to talk a little bit about our man. I forgot his name already. It doesn't matter. But we're going to talk about some controversies and some of the talents we've got there. TNT's making some changes to their wrestling schedule now because of the COVID situation for that there. There's a lot to talk about. If you want to get in touch with us, it'd be great. We want to fill up that mail sack as much as you can. We're on Twitter, Smack Attack HMG, at Smack Attack HMG. You can send us a tweet there. Email us at smackattackhamleymedia@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. If you're on the Facebook group, go and leave a comment on there. If you're on Twitter or Discord, we want to hear from you. Fill up that mail sack. It's one of the best parts of our show is when you get in touch with us. You send us some questions about anything. We'll talk. We've literally spoken about anything. Ted, you've sent us some emails about sausage rolls. We've talked about
mushy peas.
Mushy peas. We've talked about mushy peas on the show, and we've made quality content while we're at it. So come and check it out. It's a great fun. Because it breaks the mundane from SmackDown. It's not always the greatest show, but we've got some potential coming on. So come along and check it out when you get the chance.
I've heard critics have said that the Smack Attack show itself is actually more entertaining than SmackDown. So even if you don't watch SmackDown, check out the Smack Attack because you guys are killing it over there. Very entertaining, very insightful, and you all have been doing a great job.
Yeah, we make sure we get that win for the hashtag Breakfast Time Wars on your Saturday morning.
That's right.
Who are you guys warring with?
Talking Smack. That's where this whole thing came from. Is when we did the Smack Attack, we try and get it out for the morning or lunchtime now because of how we have to do a recording. But Talking Smack was announced to come on in the morning on Saturdays, so it kind of tied in with what we were doing. So we came up with the Breakfast Time Wars because we go on the same time as Talking Smack. As far as I know, Talking Smack's pretty gash. We're good. So come and watch us. If you watch Talking Smack over us, what you doing? You're a Hacker Halloween listener. You should be listening to Smack Attack over Talking Smack. Get it done. So that's why it came about. And we tried to get some traction to get like Xavier Woods and do some Twitter thing, but nothing happened. But
not yet. Not yet.
Keep trying. Keep trying.
We will.
The squeaky wheel gets the oil. The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
For sure. And the hungry squirrel gets the nut.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on Twitter at Big Ray's Ministry. You can follow me on Instagram at Big Ray Show. Find me on Facebook at Raymond Big Ray Hernandez. Hey, listen, guys, I'm doing a side project for my good friend Billy Ray Valentine. He runs a wrestling channel called the PW Hustle. You can check that out. But on that channel, I produce one show, and that's it's called the Pro Wrestling Reflection. They basically they review old wrestling pay-per-views, TV shows. What they're doing is the month of October, and it's our friend the Professor Chalbelo Veracruz and Tommy Wonder. They are reviewing movies all this month. Nice. They did what's the movie with the WCW movie?
Ready to Rumble?
Yeah, they reviewed Ready to Rumble. This week they are reviewing, and not only movies about wrestling, movies with wrestlers in them. And this week they're reviewing the 1988 cult classic starring Rowdy Piper, They Live. I'll be putting up a little graphic on my Instagram. It's a really, listen, guys, all jokes aside, I don't put a lot of stuff over. Their podcast is really good. And that's the reason why I do it. I don't want to say do a favor for them, but I do it for them because they love it. They're passionate about it. And it's something that's really fun to listen to. Between Tommy and Professor, their chemistry is on point. You got to really check it out. I know, James, you know the deal. So please check it out. It's going to be a really good show. Also, tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing the final part of my interview on Your Life, My Life with Richard and Marlene Betancourt. They are the missionaries over in they've worked in Africa, and they're going to be talking about some of the some really cool or their most fun stories and some of the scariest stories. There's one story, I'm not going to get too into it, where one of the ministers, because they're Christian and there are a lot of Muslims, radical Muslims in Africa, believe it or not, and someone was almost killed by a spear. And you got to hear the story because
Goldberg just came out of nowhere.
No, not that kind of spirit. An actual spear that will kill you. Amazing stories. We shared a lot of intimate stories. We also had some people reach out to us, for some words and prayer and stuff like that. And it was cool, man. It was a really good one. So it's going up tomorrow morning. If you're listening to this 10:15, it'll be up and officially up on iTunes and everywhere else. Not iTunes, Apple Podcasts, they call themselves now. The 16th of October, which would be on Saturday. And then, man. And then Richard and Marlene will be coming on regularly. So I have expanded my platform with another show. So it's show number 4. So thank you so much for all your support. I love you guys. And I will be here next week. NXT, next week with Dr. Ted. Maybe we can bring on somebody else. Or just be you and I. And I'm looking forward to this, man.
James, you're always welcome as well. Not that I'm not trying to twist your arm or inundate you, but you're always welcome anytime you want to join us. But
yeah, dude.
Either way.
Where is Colin?
Forget about him. We don't need him now. He's gone.
He's bossing people around, telling them make them pizzas. He's just
unbelievable. See what happens, Colin? You become a manager, you become a real boss, and now you got to work boss. You got to work boss hours.
Yeah, he's big time now. Apparently, that's what he said to me. It's like, I'm big time. I don't need NXT anymore. So you just do it.
No. Is Colin a wanker?
Yes. That's the appropriate term. You're good one. I like that one.
It's learning. See, we're becoming more cultured here at the next level. You don't only get a wrestling lesson. You get a little more cultured.
So let me just finish by saying, hold on.
Oh boy.
What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania and NXT run wild on you, brother? Asha.
Well, we can't take it any higher than that, ladies and gentlemen. For Big Ray Hernandez, the Hulkster, James McIvor, I am Dr. Ted McNaler. You can catch me at Ted the Man Beast, and be sure to catch the Schmoozin' and Boozin' Bourbon broadcast that finally got up there. But
Yes.
I can't close out. It has to be the Hulkster. Ray, one more time. Can you do it for me, please? Let's close it out properly.
All right.
Hey, close this out, my friend.
Give me 1 second. Let me just see if I can just strap this on really quickly. And
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I've been to the mountaintop, dude. I've lifted 5,000-pound giants in the Silver Dome, brother. But nothing's more over, dude, than Money McIvor, brother, Doctor, and Big Ray Hernandez here on your NXT, brother. What you gonna do when the next level runs wild on you? Asha, asha.